This one. All right, quick announcement. That's gonna.
They gave me the wrong. What's the matter? No, they gave me the wrong. Okay, what do we have here? This is a
I wonder, no, you know what it is? You don't need to hear. Can folks on Zoom hear me? Testing for Zoom. I could get some kind of acknowledgement on Zoom. Thumbs up, great. Okay, just a friendly reminder to folks in the room, we are asking board members and board members only to sit in the first 3 rows or elected official representatives / board staff. Everyone else, we do ask to sit in the rows behind the first 3 rows. If you are here and are planning to speak during the public session, we do ask that you sign up prior to 7 p.m. The sign-up sheet is on the outside of this door. For those of you on Zoom, please use the Q&A function to sign up. Thank you.
I printed my own reso. Wait, let me just tell them, they gave me the 2025 June attendance. So I don't. Well.
You can special one.
Oh. That's because you're my friend. First 3.
Oh, good call. Long week. It's only Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll be all right.
Oh, you okay? Hold on. Oh, there's none outside. Which is what? Pens. Oh wait, I thought. Yeah, but. Huh. I have a question.
Okay, folks, in the interest of time, I do want to get started. I think we are still waiting for quorum, but only by a couple of people. So I won't call the meeting officially to order, but I do want to go over what we normally do at the top of our general board meeting. First and foremost, hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Viola. I'm the chairperson of Community Board 12. Thank you all for being in person here today, as well as on Zoom. As usual, we do have a few ground rules. So typically only board members are able to speak. Of course, we do have a public session portion of our agenda, at which point we turn it to the public. Each member of the public has 2 minutes to speak. Tonight, we are using time cards. Purpose of those time cards is to give you a minute warning, and then you will get a audio 15-second warning. So when you hear the audio, you have an additional 15 seconds, and then you have to wrap. Again, folks on Zoom, very similar, 2 minutes signing up via the Q&A function on Zoom. Other than the public session, only board members may speak throughout the course of the meeting, and that's limited, of course, to our questions, clarifying questions, comments, etc. over the course of the meeting, particularly when we are going over resolutions. already gone over this, but if you are signing up for the public session, please do so by signing up outside this door if you are here in the room. If you are on Zoom, please sign up using the Q&A function on Zoom. We will be closing signups at 7 p.m. So if you have not signed up by 7 p.m., you will not be speaking at tonight's meeting. And then just a reminder for our virtual participants, this is particularly for CB12 members. If you are attending on Zoom, please be sure to change your display name to show your full name. At the point where we do roll call, you will also be asked to announce the reason you are on Zoom if you are not exempt under the open meetings law. Similarly, representatives of elected officials, please put your full name and in parentheses the elected official you are representing. And then after today's meeting, please do send your report to our secretary, Alexis Marnell, so she can include it in the minutes. Sorry, I'm gonna just pause here for a second so I could turn off this ambient music. Great. Okay, we should be close to quorum. I'm gonna look to my secretary and assistant secretary Liz or Alexis. Do we know if we have quorum yet?
I don't
think
have the
we do,
correct.
but let me.
I don't
I
have.
did a quick count and I counted 23, but I can be wrong about that. Maybe 26. I will go over the proposed agenda for tonight. This is our standard agenda, although there is one deviation. We have included on this agenda a special report. This special report will be our citations. So I have invited board members who have either chosen to step down over the course of the last year or decided not to reapply to attend tonight's meeting. I see some of you in the audience. Those board members will be recognized for their work shortly. I do think we have quorum. I saw 3 more enter, so I think we're good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. So it's 6:44 p.m. Do I have a motion from a board member to adopt tonight's agenda as presented? I see Mary and Indiana second. Thank you. That's Mary and Indiana. For tonight's minutes, I do want to turn it to our secretary just to give a short blurb about that. Here.
Okay, so my apologies. It's the first time this is I've ever, I'm sorry.
My apologies, this is the first time I've ever done this, and I'll raise it in the minutes. Due to something personal that occurred, I was unable to complete submit the May 2026 minutes on time, and they will be submitted and voted on, resumed in September. Thank you. My name is Paula.
No, we completely understand. Thank you, Alexis. So we're gonna move on from that and go to our chair's report for the evening. My chair's report is gonna be short, at least from me. I'm gonna turn it to Jim Berlin, our parliamentarian, shortly. Just to give a bit of an overview as to what the expectations are. For those of you who don't know, we are welcoming 16 new members tonight to Community Board 12. Many of them are in the room yet. Thank you so much. Yes, really, thank you. I also just want to say a thank you to all of our other board members for the incredible work we have done from January to June. This is just a snapshot of the things that have occurred in the last 6 months. We've passed 25 non-licensing resolutions, so those are resolutions from all of our committees that isn't the licensing committee, which of course is a majority of our resolutions, but just not including tonight, past 25, incredible work. We've held 2 town halls, one on charter schools, another on the Inwood rezoning, and we have more to come. We did 2 stops on our uptown tours, and then we did 3 public events. We did a recruiting event very early in the year. We did a Mother's Day event in May, and then just this past weekend, we did an event recognizing Juneteenth with Tanisha Grant and her organization. For the summer, of course, the board does go into, oh, thank you, yes. I'll take the claps, thanks. Yeah, you're really clapping yourselves, so thank you so much. For the summer, so the board does go into hiatus, mostly meaning we do not meet. We may have a committee of the whole meeting currently scheduled for late July, but our committees won't be meeting and this general board won't be meeting otherwise. But we do have some focuses that we have over the summer. So one of the things I committed to early on was a look back exercise, meaning looking at all of our resolutions that we passed in the 2 years and seeing how we would follow up. We're gonna look to supporting the efforts of Clock and getting the Broadway bid up and running. We're gonna have our interns working on a playbook. I spoke about that last month, and then we're gonna plan for some clinics, so stay tuned. And now I'm gonna turn it to Jim Berlin, who will have, let's say, 5 minutes to give an overview of the parliamentary procedure of the board. You want this or do you want to speak? Okay.
Come on, Jim.
Can you hear me? Let me get out my notes so I don't forget anything. And maybe we'll stretch it to 7 minutes. I won't get shot. And I know many of you, some of this will be repetition, and I want to also obviously welcome all of our new board members. It's a wonderful thing. I want to start with a story that some of you've heard already, but it turns out it's very, I think, good story. I have a cousin, he's an absolute softball fanatic. And every now and then when you play softball, something confusing happens and you actually have to take out the rule book. And then someone always goes, why do we have to take out the rule book? And his answer is always, because without the rules, there would be no softball. And that's true of our rules also. And as you are aware, we use Robert's Rules of Order. And the other thing we do is we go out of our way to use the simplest possible implementation of Robert's rules. That way everyone pretty much understands them, and that creates a level playing field, which is very important also. The other piece of the story is that we're also governed by what the city charter says, and that obviously supersedes what Robert's Rules of Order. So I'll give you a few examples, and some of them will affect us tonight. Robert, when he created his rules, made it difficult to end debate. You need a 2/3 majority to do that, but the city charter says community boards have to do everything by majority vote. So that means it's easier for us to end debate, but ending debate is a very major thing, so we should keep in mind that we probably don't want to do that particularly often. The other thing has to do with conflict. Well, conflict of interest is a whole separate thing, and you probably heard that if you think you might have a conflict of interest, there's actually a number you can call at the Conflict of Interest Board, and the office can give you that number, and they will be able to determine whether you actually have a conflict of interest or not, and they're the experts. And if you have a conflict of interest, two things happen. One of them is that you don't get to vote on the particular issue. And when you announce you're not voting, you also have to tell not only that you have a conflict of interest, but precisely what it is. And the other part of that is, since we sometimes have representatives of institutions who might well have a conflict of interest about a project, for example, that their institution is sponsoring, you actually can speak if you have a conflict of interest. But again, prior to speaking, you have to announce to everyone that you have a conflict of interest and have to tell, again, what the conflict of interest is. Now, the complicated matter, and again, most of you have heard this, but it's worth reiterating, has to do with abstentions. And I'm sure many of you voted in the primary election. If you simply stayed home because you didn't feel like voting, technically that's an abstention. And in most bodies, if you don't feel like voting on an issue, you can just not vote. But unfortunately, the arcane language in the city charter basically says that if you're present in the room for a vote while we're voting, you have to vote. So that means abstentions have a whole different nature to them. Now, as I believe you're all aware, in order for a motion or resolution to pass, it needs a majority of votes. That's one more than half. And by the way, a tie vote doesn't make it. A tie vote, if something gets a tie, it doesn't pass. And the other thing, this is not like the US Senate. Anthony is a member of this board and he gets to vote just like everybody else. He's not just there to break ties. So if you abstain, therefore, well, to begin with, you're still part of a quorum, and we have to have a quorum in order to vote at all. But if you abstain, you're not voting in favor of whatever it is, and therefore, de facto, your abstention is a negative vote. And that's why I'm aware of this. And Anthony wrote to all the new members that it's important that you familiarize yourself with all of the various resolutions and motions that are going to come up tonight, because you can't just abstain because that's a no vote. And in the case of some of these resolutions, they actually affect whether a business, they could well affect whether a business could open or not. So we don't want strange rules to, interfere with people's livelihoods. So that's the main thing. I'll make sure I got everything else. I believe I did. Oh, one other thing. All of you either will get or already have a board roster, and you were probably told you cannot share the personal information on that roster with anyone. And if you have a parliamentary question at any point, feel free to call me, but not obviously in the middle of the night. And I'll be happy to discuss things at great length. Now, does anyone have any questions now? I hope I didn't confuse anyone. Probably not. Very good. So welcome to everyone, old board members, new board members, and here comes our chair again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So normally at this point in the agenda, I would turn it to the district manager who's been working all day, as I'm sure you can imagine. We're instead going to do our citations for our former board members who have either decided to resign over the course of the last year or decided not to reapply. I did a quick look through these citations. I'll read one of them as they all say the same thing. And mind you, they were signed by our city council member, Carmen De La Rosa, on behalf of the city council. They say, whereas a great city is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their communities, whether through unique personal achievement in their professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of philanthropy and community service. And whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of the community and the city, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded. Now, therefore, be it resolved that as a duly elected member of the New York City Council, Carmen De La Rosa, she recognizes the following as an outstanding citizen, one of whom is worthy of the esteem of both our community and the great city of New York. So if you hear your name, please step up. Carmen Paulino. Daniel Bonilla. Yeah, let's line everyone up. Jacob Banis. And Joel Abreu. Did I miss any board members who are here that were invited? No. Okay, great. Thank you all so much for your service. We're going to take a quick photo, if that's okay, and then we'll move on. And then if there are any board members, former board members on Zoom, we have your citation at the office, so please drop by and pick those up. Okay, now we're gonna turn to the regularly scheduled portion of our agenda, back to our borough president's office. I saw Porfirio. To Porfirio.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Porfirio Figueroa. I'm the Deputy Director of Community Affairs for the Manhattan Borough President's Office. And on behalf of Brad Hoylman Siegel, let me begin by saying happy Pride to everyone, especially on behalf of the very first borough president who is openly gay. So congratulations also to all the new and reappointed members and to those who are outgoing. We do thank you for your service. Brad Holman Siegel is proud of our office and appointed nearly 300 members to our Manhattan community boards, bringing both new voices and perspectives to local government while welcoming back our experienced members who are committed to public service. He also testified before the City Council Committee on Housing and Buildings, recommending approval of applications that will build over 1,400 new homes, including 560 new units of affordable housing in neighborhoods with little prior housing or development. And additionally, called for the Rent Guidelines Board to institute a freeze for rent stabilized apartments and households who are rent burdened. In collaboration with his colleagues at the City Council, State Assembly, and State Senate, the Manhattan Borough President wrote to NYCHA Chair Lisa Bova Hyatt to urge NYCHA to provide elected officials with improved capital development reports to better ensure accountability and advocacy for the over 900,000, let me correct myself, 90,000 Manhattanites living in NYCHA developments. And we found a 2023 physical needs assessment found that NYCHA would require $78 billion over 2 decades to reach a state of repair so that all NYCHA tenants can live in dignity. He is therefore proud to announce creating the Manhattan Tenants Union, led by our new Director of Borough Organizing, whose name is Alejandro Corriat. Alejandro will be in community centers and tenant associations meetings to ensure tenants learn their rights and are able to enforce the rules that protect them. He will also share information when tenants rent from the same landlords within the borough to help build tenant coalitions. He joined Governor Hochul, Senator Schumer, and Congressman Espaillat ceremoniously on a groundbreaking to recognize the next phase of the Second Avenue subway. This generational investment in the future of Upper Manhattan will provide direct rides into the heart of Midtown and Lower Manhattan, cutting travel times by up to 20 minutes each way, a long overdue investment in transit affordability and opportunity New Yorkers deserve. So our office just released the first in a series of quality of life concerns to measure the quality of city services across Manhattan and issued a neighborhood report card on dog waste, comparing 311 data. We found correlations exist in areas with fewer trash bins and no dog waste bags dispensers being available, coinciding with high dog waste. To read the report, you can go to our website, which is www.manhattanbp.nyc.gov, and also a map of the how each neighborhood rates is actually on the table outside. As we celebrate Pride, the MVP stands firm that the Trump administration has no right to access the privileged medical records of New York families, nor to intimidate NYU Langone. The New York Shields Law, which the borough president sponsored, prohibits New York law enforcement and courts from enforcing subpoenas or warrants related to legal gender affirming care as a way for Manhattan to regain a haven for trans youth. Additionally, he asked Governor Hochul and Mayor Mondami to urge the state and city to posthumously issue a pardon and apology to Eve Adams, a Polish Jewish immigrant arrested in 1926, and convicted for the crime of being a lesbian, was deported and later murdered in Auschwitz-Birkenau. 100 years after her arrest and subsequent murder by the Nazis at Auschwitz, we have the obligation and the opportunity to say plainly that she deserved better. Lastly, our office remains open at our 431 West 125th Street, and as will remain an intake point for Manhattanites and immigrants, providing walk-in referrals, multilingual benefits, navigation, know your rights materials, tenant protections, and more. Our volunteer corp has reopened. If you want to join us, you can go on our website and sign up. And last, any of you who wish to march with us in the parade on Sunday, Brad has invited all of you, and we have sent the information to the district manager so that you can sign up. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thanks so much, Porfirio. We are now going to turn to our public session. We will start with folks on Zoom. So I'll turn it over to our first vice chair, Leo Jimenez, to announce each speaker. Once he announces your name on Zoom, we'll give you permission to speak, at which point you'll have 2 minutes. You will hear a sound at the 15-second mark when you have 15 seconds remaining. And once those 15 seconds elapse, then you will no longer be able to speak. I'll now turn it to Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. And in same with the Zoom, 2 minutes to each attendee. And I will be hearing you as we go. So Cheryl Miller, your 2 minutes is on.
Hi, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Can you speak a little loudly?
You can hear me? Okay. Hi. Okay, so my name is Cheryl Miller, and I am a member of the Washington Heights community. I'm also a member of the Y Inwood Task Force on Noise. And I spoke at the last general board meeting last month about the resolution for the plazas. And I would just like to reiterate, just try to, in a nutshell, what I said the last time, is that while nobody is coming against having events in the plazas, but there has to be some kind of regulation. There has to be some kind of enforcement. There has to be an establishment of who's supposed to enforce what. And right now it's just like a free for all. It's like, it's not being regulated. These are not concert venues. People live in this community, and people just want to be able to sleep and not have to go spend money that they don't have to stay in a hotel. That's not right. And so I'm just asking that the community board, I urge the community board to vote on this resolution tonight on item D, I believe it is, on the resolution. And please put yourself in other people's places. Even if you don't live near a plaza, think about the people that it is affecting. You wouldn't want to have to be put out of your apartment to stay in a hotel because of the noise that can be heard like 3-4 blocks away from the plaza. That's that's ridiculous, because nobody 3-4 blocks away from a plaza should have to have their windows rattling. We have people that work in this community. There's children that have to go to school, elderly people.
Thank you, Cheryl. We'll go on to Jennifer Malvin. And then your 2 minutes begins now.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. My name is Jennifer Malman. I have lived in Inwood for the past 27 years, which is my entire adult life. I love the neighborhood, my neighbors, and the community. Inwood and Washington are residential, working class neighborhoods with a range of people, from children to young people, young and mature families, and retirees. And I'm speaking to support the adoption of this common sense resolution to manage the use of the public plazas so that events are not operating to the detriment of the health and wellness of those who live and work in our neighborhoods. Not everyone has the luxury or the option to live according to the schedule that would avoid ongoing high decibel amplified sound during plaza events. And the onus should not be placed on residents to move to mitigate exposure to ongoing high decibel amplified sound during plaza events. Whether you rent or own, imagine being told to move to solve the environmental problem that's been created just outside your long-term home solely because of a lack of management, enforcement, and just simple neighborliness. Told to move is not a reasonable option. I endorse and encourage the adoption of this resolution to establish policies that create and support livable of our residents. I thank Community Board 12 and especially the Health and Environment Committee for the continued efforts in drafting this resolution. The resolution appears to be well-intended and collaborative, not punitive. So don't let the perfect be the enemy of good in moving forward with resolution. I encourage the adoption of this resolution so our community establishes the structure and support of appropriate city agencies for the plazas in our communities. And importantly, I encourage the adoption of this resolution so our communities have those resources and tools to support the physical, mental, and emotional health and wellness for all who live and work in our communities. I also want to note that there are many of our community members who have made statements in favor of the resolution on the regulation and noise and.
Thank you, Jennifer. Up next, Tanya Bonnie. Tanya?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, can you please start my time now? Thank you. My name is Tanya Bonner, and I'm the chair of the Wahi Inwood Task Force on Noise. Board members and community members, according to the city's own rules that are clearly outlined in the city code, rules governing plaza operating hours, activity, and use of amplified sound, and the consequences of not abiding by those rules are already outlined in part of city law. For example, city rules state that use of sound devices is not allowed between the hours of 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. on weekdays and between the hours of 8 p.m. and 10 a.m. on weekends and public holidays in any location within 50 feet of any building that is lawfully occupied for residential use. This resolution reiterates the need to enforce what the rules already state. City rules also state that most temporary sound permits limit the volume to 86 decibels, which is described as being equivalent to a lawnmower sound. Again, this can't be debated by this body. Also, the city street activity permit office, or SAPO, is in charge of administering plaza rules and has the authority to approve or deny a permit, temporarily suspend or revoke a permit, or to impose rules upon permits necessary to protect the interests of the city, the community, and the general public. By this resolution, you are emphasizing that the rules as on the books must be followed for the health of this community. You are not in charge of regulating plazas. That is DOT and SAPO's job. You are not in charge of penalizing breakers of plaza rules. SAPO is. What is new that this resolution can achieve is ensuring accountability from SAPO in enforcing those rules and in properly notifying the community board in advance about events seeking permits so that the community board can fulfill the role it actually has on the books of providing feedback on whether events should be approved or not. It is my understanding communication from the board chair that has not been happening. For these reasons, there should be no hesitation about voting yes to this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Danielle Gaita. Danielle?
Hi, my name is Danielle. I am here on behalf of the Morris Jamel Mansion, which is on Jamel Terrace between 160 and 162nd Street. We have upcoming fundraisers and programs going on, and it's more important now, in my opinion, and I know a lot of our supporters' opinion, to support the mansion now than ever. We are currently undergoing our restoration, which is long awaited, and thank you to everybody who has played a role here today in getting that started. But we do still have our free and low cost public programming, so make sure you're checking our website out for that. And we also have our highly anticipated Tavern Night fundraiser coming up on July 25th from 6 to 9 p.m. VIP tickets are selling out very quickly. General admission tickets are still available, so please make sure you head over to our website to get those tickets. It's open bar, food included with tickets, historic gaming, museum exhibitions. And you'll get a free pass to come to the mansion once we reopen. And of course, just stay up to date on all the things that we have going on by checking out our website, morrisjamel.org. And I hope to see you all at Tavern Night and our other events that we have in store. Thank you.
And then we have a question from our supervisor commission.
Absolutely.
Hey, how you doing? So does that mean that the community board members have to pay for tickets?
If community board members want to reach out to me, I can have a discussion with you about that. Just shoot me an email and we can talk.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, up next, Maya Capital. Maya, she's still on. Maya?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the plaza resolution, really hoping that it passes. Love community events, and I think they're so important to keeping the community together and keeping spirits lively. But as somebody who does live at that plaza, there are obviously rules in place that are constantly being violated, not being followed. It gets in the way of everyday life, whether that be on a weekday with an event, a weekend. Not everyone works a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And, I'm an educator that helps students outside of school hours. And I have found that I can't help students on the weekend often because the noise from the plaza is so loud that it interferes with my ability to help students. So while I think community events are so important, I would love for there to be some enforcement of the rules that are in guidelines that are in place, because it is quite difficult for anyone who lives in that area to really exist there at any time. The anxiety that comes with knowing that at any point your peace and quiet can be completely disrupted. It's hard to sleep. It gets in the way of rest, which is super important. And even after those events, there's no enforcement for the restaurants along that strip on Dykeman between Broadway and Seaman, or also towards the marina, where they'll bring out their speakers and blast music until near 4 a.m. That's not a great quality of life for anyone who lives near there. So I know it might be hard to envision and really be in the shoes of anyone who lives there and near that issue. But it's very, very, very anxiety inducing and tough to live with. So hoping that resolution passes. And yeah, thank you for your time here.
Thank you, Maya. Up next, Claudia Shire. Claudia?
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. So my name is Claudia Scher. I'm a musician who's lived in Inwood for 23 years. I too would like to register my support for the resolution about the noise on the plazas. I personally am subject to regulation on when I can play music in my apartment, and I'm glad about that because I want to be a considerate neighbor. So about the plazas, I'd like to say that it's clear that they are a benefit to the community, but it is also clear that the sound emissions created need to be subject to reasonable limits in consideration of those who live nearby. A petition was created just 24 hours ago in support of the resolution and has already gathered over 43 signatures today from residents of Washington Heights and Inwood. I understand that not everyone who signed it is able to attend this meeting tonight, so I'd like to bring it to the board's attention now. The petition is publicly available and I would be happy to share it with you. I also do the administration for the Washington Heights and Inwood for Respectful Decibel Levels Facebook group, which has 1,300 members. And I see many videos and testimony from residents who are affected by plaza noise. I believe that it is possible to achieve a balance at the plazas of enjoyable events alongside the reasonable regulation of amplified sound. As a musician, I am pleased to see that unamplified sound remains unrestricted. So I would like to register my support for the resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia. Marjorie Collard. Marjorie? Well,
Hi. Thank you. I run the Riverside Inwood Neighborhood Garden, which is the community botanical garden across the street. I've run it since 1984. I've been in the neighborhood since 1979, and our peaceful community garden has been destroyed regularly, the peace in it, by all-day events of over 85 decibels. That's against the law too. It's not just at night. And the permits do not include decibel limits, and that's a problem. And the cops, many of whom just stand by when you ask them about the breaking of the law and the decibel limit, they just shrug their shoulders. That indicates there's no enforcement and no one seems to care. And I hope that the community board will put itself on the record that it wants our laws to be enforced because they're made so as to protect public health. I'm also a musician, and I know for a fact that an array of smaller amplified music amps could be placed around the plaza so that only those people in the plaza can hear the music that is being offered. It is not necessary to have a stack that is 2 stories high and blast the entire neighborhood. I'm one of those who lives 4 blocks away, and with my windows closed, I hear it, and so do people on Zooms in my apartment. So again, I urge you to aid the following of the law, get the New York Police Department to enforce the law here, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Marjorie. Timothy Clark. Timothy, you have 2 minutes starts now. Timothy, you still on? Timothy Miller. Timothy Miller. Well, we'll come back to you, Timothy. Migdalia Quinones. Migdalia?
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so let me get my speech now. I forgot. Oh shoot. Oh God damn it. Sorry, I'm not prepared. I am okay. I'm just gonna talk about my experience as a African Afro-Latina woman living in Upper Manhattan. And I have to say, for me, because this is what I've been through. I've been through environmental racism in this community and when I lived in Harlem. For generations, Black and Brown community has been treated as a dumping ground for harmful policies and harmful practices that have been imposed in our community without any accountability, without any regards for the people who actually live here. We carry cigarette billboard, alcohol advertising, predator marketing, and the long-term impact of drug pushed into our neighborhoods. These things were not placed in our community. This stuff was placed in our community. And this is why I call it environmental racism. So now we have the amplified sound introduced into the residential corridor. Is simply another layer added to the community that's already been asked to absorb more than anyone else. I don't need a report to tell me what it feels like. I live it and I hear it. How it affects families, children, the elderly, and myself. Dykeman already it carries its own energy every night. You don't need Dykeman to do anything specific, but you can't put a plaza and Dykeman together. It just doesn't go. Now, I love music. I don't have a problem. I like to dance, but something's got to be done, and I hope this resolution passes so that we can.
Thank you, Dalia. Irene Gesheroff. Irene. Irene, are you still on? We're gonna move to Nancy Preston.
Okay, can you hear me? This is Nancy.
Yes, Nancy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. So my name's Nancy Preston. I've been living on Seaman and Dykeman for 26 years. A member of Moving Forward Unidos, the Task Force on Noise, and Lower Seaman Tenants Association. And I'm here to urge Community Board to lead the way and vote yes on this item D, which is the revised resolution on the regulation of noise in the public plazas. This resolution has been discussed, refined for over a year. It's reasonable, thoughtful, and comprehensive. It provides a pathway which prioritizes the health of all. Let me focus on the noise issue. Exposure to decibel sound levels of 85 or higher for an hour or more result in permanent hearing loss, period. This is scientifically documented. Children are specifically susceptible. This is why the New York City Noise Code requires noise to not exceed 85 decibels. Unfortunately, it's rarely adhered to, which is why the resolution is needed. Dangerous noise levels exceeding 85 decibels have been regularly documented in our public plazas, which are often situated in residential areas. Noise pollution is more than a nuisance, it's a health risk. Researchers have documented that noise pollution not only drives hearing loss and hypersensitivity to sound, but can exacerbate cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stress, mental health, attention deficit, childhood learning delays, and low birth weight. I commend the resolution tonight on the safety concerns of the aging. Our district has a significant aging population, so please consider that above 85 decibel for over an hour results in this permanent hearing loss. And research now has stated that hearing loss is a significant factor.
Thank you, Nancy. So we'll circle back around to Timothy Miller. Timothy, are you still on? All right, Ruth Gasharon.
Hi, I'm not prepared to speak. I did not expect to be called on. I'm listening to everyone, but not prepared to speak.
Okay. So that concludes. Okay, thank you. So the way we're gonna do it in person is I'm gonna queue up in batches of 3. So the first person on the list is Cassandra Innocenti. You'll speak first. Following Cassandra is Tessa Brinkman and Ron Lester. So Tessa and Ron, if you can queue up to my right, your left. And then once Cassandra speaks and she's done, then it will be Tessa followed by Ron. In person, just keep your, I'm actually gonna have you position in front of the podium and we're gonna give you a standing mic. Better yet, I made that mistake before. We have to use this mic as well, so I'm gonna have you actually stand here.
Okay.
Thank you. And then once you begin speaking, you'll have 2 minutes and the time cards will show you when you have done it.
No problem. I could start now.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cassandra Innocent. I'm the library manager for the Fort Washington Library. That's at 535 West 179th Street. And tonight I'm here to just speak about some of our summer offerings. You know, summer reading is big, and we finally have some swag and some ways that adults could get involved, because of course, some reading is for the kids and the young adults, but we have some offerings for adults this year. Now, if you really get activated, we have like a bingo game going on. So it's like, some of the points is if you get a library card, if you visit a library,
right? If you read a sci-fi book, if you connect them and make bingo, you could get a hat. And I'm telling you, I wish I had some of the swag with me. They're nice. They're not just flimsy, they're cotton. We have cotton totes. Just go, either you come to us, you could go to Inwood, you could go to Washington Heights. Those are my sister branches, so I'm here to represent them tonight as well. So I'm going to leave some of the bingo. And I also wanted to speak about our adult English classes, our free adult English classes. The next information sessions are coming up in July, where, you know, you could send mostly adults, right? You could send them to these information sessions, they get tested and they get placed. So I'm gonna leave these two things and just come and see us this summer. We're popping. Okay? You're welcome.
Tessa Brinkman?
Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Tessa Brinkman. I'm a resident of Upper Washington Heights, and I'm addressing the regulation of noise resolution. As a working musician, I have a lot of respect for how every culture creates and experiences music. All music reinforces identity and power in any of our communities, and that includes how loud the music is. However, science doesn't care what culture you're from or how cool your music is. High decibel levels cause irreversible damage. The cilia in your ears die and those parts don't repair themselves. Even the fancy, expensive hearing aids don't bring back your original hearing. And one of the worst side effects of high decibels, and this affects a lot of musicians I know, is tinnitus or ringing in the ear. We can all change our music cultures. If we gradually turn down the volume of music, say over just a few weeks, the music will still feel good to our musical brains. Being able to hear the details of the music is actually what makes it sound really good. And none of us have the right to damage the hearing or mental health of our neighbors, no matter what music we play. New York City is internationally infamous for its noise and has had a noise code badly enforced for a long time now. Nothing in the city's urban, residential, and historic physical design can successfully accommodate prolonged noise and prolonged outdoor concerts. The committee's requested restrictions on scheduling lengthy back-to-back permitted events with amplified sound, especially on weekends, and the limitation on amplified sound to a maximum of 4 hours at permitted events are entirely reasonable. New Yorkers should not have to beg for quiet and rest. Public spaces are supposed to be healthy places for all the public. Board members, show me that you're courageous enough to care about public health and adopt this noise regulation resolution. This resolution can only bolster this community board's reputation in New York City.
Thank you. While Ron is making his way up on, I will queue up the next three speakers. So Dr. Gary, Liz DeMaio, and Tim Coel, if you heard your name, please queue up on this staircase to my right, your left. Ron Lester. You're gonna see me in the corner of you. That means you have 1 minute, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Hello, I'm Ron Lester. I read on CB12's website the following. Community Board 12 Manhattan is committed to improving the delivery of the city services in the district and advocating for the welfare of the district and its residents. I will focus specifically on the sentence that reads, advocating for the welfare of the district and its residents. My question to the board of CB12 is, what's important to you? Can you still stand for the statement I just read that is on the CB12 website? Are you willing to support individuals and organizations who are willing and are doing the work that benefits the residents of CB12? To me, it seems like a no-brainer to stand behind anyone who is committed to doing the work that is totally aligned with CB12's mission to advocate for the welfare of its residents. We're all human beings here. We often start off committed and fired up to fulfill a vision, a mission, to make a difference. Then a couple of years later or so, the things we say are now trite and glib. I do it in my own life. I swear right now, as I stand before all of you, that my body would be much hotter, muscular, and sexier had I stayed consistent with going to the gym when I first signed up in 1999. That's why it is good to be reminded of our initial stance, to be held accountable to our mission because it was born out of the will to make a difference for the greater good. So, members of Community Board 12, if advocating for the welfare of the district and its residents is still important to you, then I request that you move forward. Is that my time? Okay.
You can put a period on your sentence and then you have to.
Oh. Yeah, I got a lot more. I'll stop it. All right,
Thank
thank you. No problem.
Okay, next is Dr. Gary.
Move forward to pass the resolution. Okay, you ready? Can you hear me? Hi, everybody. John Lewis said, when you see something that is not right, not just, not fair, you have a moral obligation to say something and do something. This is why I first came before Manhattan Community Board 12 on December 15th, 2011, and why we are still here today. My name is Dr. Gary Altheim, founder and director of programs of Growth and Development Services, GDS. Tonight, I am reading this as an open letter to the mayor. Dear Mayor Mondamni, it's our time. You spoke about the Knicks being down 29 points and about the 4% who refused to give up. This year, GDS is celebrating its 29 and Shine campaign. For 29 years, GDS has provided mental health, wellness, youth leadership development, advocacy, training, and intergenerational programs. We have served over 2,400 youth, families, and seniors across Northern Manhattan and the Bronx. GDS is part of that 4%. We are still here. This summer, we are launching the Mental Health Awareness Campaign, hosting a series of events and building our Mental Health and Equity Coalition. In 2019, GDS was wrongfully evicted from the Fort Washington Avenue Armory. Our community lost free, accessible mental health, youth leadership development, and intergenerational supportive programs. But tonight is not about what was lost. Tonight is what we are building. We're asking everyone to help the youth, seniors, and families in our community. Please sign the petition. There's a flyer. Help move the resolution forward. Connect GDS to space, partners, and public officials who want to be part of the solution. Healing requires accountability and action. GDS is ready to do our part. We're asking you to do yours. People over profit, join our campaign. Pass the resolution that has been stonewalled since June 1st, 2021 to open up the New York City Fort Washington Armory.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Liz DeMayo.
Hi. All plazas are not created equal. The plazas created downtown, which host amplified events, are much bigger than our plazas, and they're placed in mainly commercial areas. For example, the Times Square Plaza. Most of our plazas are smaller than those downtown, and they're in residential areas. Events are literally feet from people's windows. Decibel levels are comparable to power lawnmowers, subways, and motorcycles, sometimes more. These are levels that can even harm a developing fetus. I'd like to ask everyone on the community board to think of someone they love and imagine that person living by an uptown plaza, perhaps while ill, overloaded with work, or raising an infant. He or she is awakened by one event on Saturday morning. A few hours later, this person spends the afternoon trying to tune out another amplified event for several hours. Sunday brings more loud music, 6 to 8 hours plus setup and cleanup. Is it acceptable for your loved one to live this way? Doesn't the situation put local students at an extreme disadvantage? People seem convinced these events are an anti-gentrification statement, but by driving out rent-controlled tenants, thus allowing a rent increase, they're actually making apartments pricier. Please show residents you care about them and show leadership by doing what the city and the DOT have not done, provide for enforcement at plazas. Thank you.
I'm gonna queue up the next three speakers. So if you hear your name, Liz Orletti, Jay Diaz, and Katie Weaver. If you heard your name, please queue up to my right, your left. Tim, take it away.
Good evening, Community Board. I only have, sorry, good evening, Community Board. I only have 2 minutes. I have a sore throat. I don't need that much. You have all heard years about these arguments about this noise resolution. I'm just asking you why you could possibly not, why you would not vote for this tonight. That's it. I can't talk anymore. Thank you.
Okay, Liz.
Howdy, good evening. My name's Liz Parlett. My wife and I'm here for both of us tonight. Live on Riverside Drive across from Quisqueya Plaza. I want to start by saying we generally really enjoy the plaza. Ever since it was put in, we kind of prefer it to the old road situation, and we like to go out and pass through it every day. We like to sit and enjoy all the events around it, or at least some of them, even if they're not of interest. It's just nice to walk by and see our neighbors and community out enjoying themselves. Um, and some of the events, are honestly like fine noise level wise, or they're much lower. So when the bigger ones come in, it's kind of hard to understand why it's harder for some, people who are permitted to the events to keep their noise more reasonable. And I think that's what most people are really just asking for. I'm not asking for no amplified sound. I know that's not reasonable. I'm not asking for no events. That's not reasonable. And it wouldn't be any fun. But we live across from there and we're no strangers to noise. We live near a gas station. But some weekends during the summer, it starts to get kind of exhausting because even with our windows closed, it rattles, or we just kind of we gotta work and it just kind of gets hard to put up with. So it's honestly just some common sense, stuff in the resolution seems really reasonable to me. So I would really endorse the community board to consider passing it. I also think a lot of it would be helped with, like some other folks have said, just more transparency and accountability from SAPO and work from DOT just to make the communication a little clearer. Because I think a lot of us don't really always know what's going on or who's in charge. So if you could look to passing this resolution, I think everyone could maybe find something to compromise on and be a little happier with. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hello there, Community Board. My name is Jay Diaz. My husband and I live right above the Quisqueya Plaza. Hi, Porfi. Hi, Danny. I love the plaza, and I'm just going to speak from my heart. My husband and I had actually had to contemplate leaving our home. We've been there since 1998 because of being tormented by the volume and the frequency of the events at the plaza. It is so horrible in our building. And let me share with you some of the people who live in our building. We have grammar school children. We have 2 people with dementia. We had a woman who was in hospice, and during a plaza event where everything in our whole building was shaking in time with the bass, she was literally dying. And I thought to myself, this is not right. So when I saw the resolution, I thought, oh my God, thank God, somebody's actually doing something. So I beg you, please, please adopt this resolution, which is common sense and human for the people who live there. Thank you for your time.
Before Katie speaks, I'm just going to queue up the next 3 speakers. Jeffrey Nutter, Bennett Melzek, and Barbara Futterman. If you heard your name, please queue up to my left, or my right and your left. Katie.
My name is Katie Weaver.
I am 80 years old. I've been living in Inwood for almost 4 decades. I have seen the neighborhood change several times. It's changing again now. And I don't understand why, with what's going on in the country and the world, we are not being good to each other, but we expect the government to be good to us. If we can't look at our neighbor and feel some compassion and empathy, then why should the government? And you see what's happening with the government now. I think that if they perform in the plaza, they need to follow the law. That's all. And be good neighbors. You wouldn't want somebody taking over your apartment for a whole weekend, every weekend when the weather is good. That's unreasonable. And the noise, I have been involved in a situation where I got involved with somebody, with a company that was making my life miserable. I got DEP involved. They ended up with thousands of dollars in fines because they didn't follow the law. And we can easily do that. Just be a good neighbor. Why not stop all of the discrimination that I feel in this community for the last 20 years? And I'm not supposed to talk about it, but it's there. And I will. You can't change something if you don't recognize it. And I have a right to live there as a senior in my retirement and enjoy my apartment. That's all I'm asking.
Jeffrey?
Hey, thank you so much for thanks so much for putting forth this resolution. I'm here to talk in favor of this noise resolution. I've been a resident of Broad Dyke building on Broadway and Dykeman for the past 27 years. Me and many of my neighbors, which we hear from people, we enjoy this plaza, we like music, and yet we do not understand why the people who run this plaza are making our lives miserable. We have a hard time understanding who would come into a neighborhood and make the people living there, young, old, people of all races, people who are dying, as Jay indicated, people who have lived in the building for 70 years. Why would they do this? Perhaps if you're from another place and you live in a quiet place coming into a neighborhood that you're profiting from, perhaps that is the reason why you might feel okay about subjecting the community to this. Obviously, the people who are behind these things in the plaza do not care about this community. If they did, they would listen to us. They would listen to the people who are suffering and being tormented by this. Please vote yes, this very common sense resolution. The things in this resolution, to have things limited to 4 hours, no back-to-back events, these are things that make sense. Anyone who truly supports the community and the people in the community, why would they not support this? I say only if they are profiting from our torment and they do not live in the neighborhood. Okay. Please vote yes on this. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Hello, my name is Bennett Melzak, and I'm a lifetime resident of Broadway and Dykeman. I'm also a clinical social worker and a licensed New York psychoanalyst, so I understand the difficulties of loud and continued noise. It's not good for anybody's health. As people have said, there's children, there's pets, there's elderly people, there are people with terminal illnesses living in the building, and they need to be able to enjoy their time. I love music. I was at Woodstock. I go to lots of outdoor concerts. I go to Jazzmobile. I go to Summer Stage, but none of those are events or speakers 30 feet away from people's windows. They're not disturbing necessarily anyone near them. The other thing I'd like to say as a clinical social worker and as a psychoanalyst is to really, it's time to really support the GDS program in the building that they've been removed from. The Armory is an important building, and it's important to provide services for youth. The neighborhood is lacking in youth programs. It could certainly use a PAL and other programs, and hopefully that will be looked at by the community board. And again, let's try and support the noise resolution. Thank you.
Before Barbara speaks, I'm just going to queue up our last three speakers, Josh McGee, Ted Gallagher, and Tanisha Grant. If you heard your name, you can queue up to my right, your left. Barbara?
Good evening. I'm here to support the noise resolution. I've been living in the building at Broadway and Dyckman for more than 40 years now. I love the plaza. Quisqueya Plaza is fantastic. It's a great addition to our neighborhood. The only problem we all have is the over-amplification of music. This kind of amplification is more suited to the Forest Hills Stadium in Queens. So I urge everyone to consider this now. Let's pass this resolution for everybody. Thank you.
Josh?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Josh McGee. I've lived in Inwood for the last 15 years. I spoke last month about all the negative health impacts from sustained loud noise, but a lot of people have spoken more eloquently than I can tonight about that. So I'm not going to cover that. I've heard from quite a few people that this, in their mind, could be boiled down to some people moving into the neighborhood, wanting to gentrify the place, getting persnickety about the noise, or just not letting the community have fun. So let's talk about both of those briefly. You've heard from people tonight that have lived in the neighborhood for 20, 30, 40 years from all walks of life. So unless we're talking about gentrification that started 40 years ago, that completely falls away. We're not going to deal with that any further. I don't really understand how that argument makes any sense given what you saw last month and tonight. Let's talk about limiting people's ability to have fun. So if you pass this resolution, and I hope that you do, here's what you can still do. You can still party in Quisqueya Plaza for 4 hours, up to 85 decibels, which is incredibly loud to begin with, but that's the law. We all support that. We're all here for that. You can do that every weekend if you want. You just can't do it 2 days in a row in the weekend. So if you vote no, given all of that, what are you voting no for? You're basically saying, I want to have fun, but that's not sufficient. I don't want to party for 4 hours. I want to party for 8 hours. I don't want it to be 85 decibels. I want it to be 100 decibels. And I don't want to do it like every weekend. I want to do it both days every weekend. If you do that, you also want it seemingly for free in the sense that you've heard tonight, and if you were not aware before last month or tonight, of the hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific studies showing that sustained loud noise causes cardiac disease, causes developmental delays in children, causes dementia to get worse. If you didn't know that, you know that tonight. And what you're saying is, I want to party even harder than what this allows for, and I don't care about what happens to the residents that live directly on this plaza. Please vote yes for this.
Ted?
Good evening. I'm Ted Gallagher, 44 years in Inwood. I live in the impact zone of Quisqueya Plaza. I support the proposed resolution at the very least. Actually, I had hoped that this ill-conceived policy of the city of New York was discontinued by Mayor Mamdani because there haven't been any events of any significant disturbance at Quisqueya Plaza this spring, none that I heard. And yet, it's happening, and we're now all these years after the heartbreak of this community, we're now talking about a meager resolution that should have been agreed to years ago. We want the mayor to assign police to every plaza, to every event, to protect the public health. If decibel levels exceed the noise code, the violator should be warned. If the violator continues, the event should be shut down immediately. Who are these plaza managers? Who are these plaza managers? Do they have a business interest in those businesses on Dyckman Street? If so, it's a conflict of interest. Who talked about 5 minutes ago? Who talked about conflict of interest? You, sir. If these managers in charge of governing our events are involved in any way with these businesses, that is a conflict of interest that is completely unacceptable. Please, at the very least, support this resolution and do more, do better.
And then Tanisha Graham.
Hey y'all, I'm speaking in my personal capacity as Executive Director of Parent Support and Parents New York, who does a lot of work in the community. I'm very Googleable. On Saturday, I want to thank the community board. I want to thank our elected officials. I want to thank all of our co-sponsors for the first time since we're, talking about everything that our community needs. We had our first Juneteenth block party. We served over 300 people. We gave out 12 laptops to community members. We just picked them and gave them out to them. We had over 300 hot dogs, hamburgers, all kinds of juice, cotton candy, all kinds of things for the community. I am in the bottom half of Washington Heights. They'll call it Sugar Hill. I do live by Audubon Plaza. So I just want to again say thank y'all, everyone who was involved, everyone who showed up and announced that we will be having our 4th annual block party 4 years in a row on August 8th, and you are all invited. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the public session. We will move on to committee reports. As a reminder to our chairs, each of our committee chairs, this section of the agenda is for anything related to your committee not on the agenda for a vote this evening, and that will take place on agenda item 11. I will call our Chair of Traffic and Transportation, Leo Jimenez. Each chair will have 3 minutes once they begin.
Thank you again, Anthony. And I want to give a special recognition to our new board members. If you guys can stand up so we can see faces, we can clap it up for you. I think it's very powerful. You decided to join the board, serve as your community. So welcome. I'm going to defer to the minutes, but I want to highlight July 15th at 6 p.m. We will be having a town hall on parking issues in our district. We're inviting DOT, sanitation, and other elected officials to come discuss permit parking, alternate site parking, municipal parking lots. So please attend. It's very powerful for all our communities to show up, not just certain areas or specific locations where we have issues. Please encourage your neighbors to come and attend our town hall. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to recognize one person before we move on in the committee reports. If I could recognize Ovi Lattimore from the mayor's office. I hear you have a report. Take it away, Ovi.
Yeah, thanks so much. I don't have a full report this evening. Pleasure to join you. Sorry I wasn't able to make it in person. But yes, my name is Ovi Lattimore. I'm the Manhattan Borough Manager for the Mayor's Office of Mass Engagement, which was created in day 2 of this new mayor administration via executive order. And we're aiming to continue the work of the Community Affairs Unit while trying to increase the civic participation and reach more folks, just as the mayor's campaign was able to do. And I also just wanted to assure folks that the issue of the public plazas has been flagged. Our deputy commissioner, myself, and others have been briefed on it, and do look forward to working with the community board here. And thank everyone for giving their public testimony, for sharing their stories, and as well as working with other folks in the community Manhattan Borough President's Office, and just other partners in government to try to find a solution. Because obviously the situation does not seem tenable as it is. So want to make sure, and it will be being carried back to the mayor himself as well. Quick just overview of Office Mass Engagement. We did begin our Organize NYC initiative, where we are starting to try to get volunteers to come out and door knock. Right now, we are trying to alert folks, different SNAP beneficiaries, around making sure that they're doing what's needed to keep their benefits. We have also done door knocking and canvassing around the Rent Guidelines Board, making sure people know about the process. And obviously this week, the Rent Guidelines Board will be coming out with their decision this week. So again, we were door knocking not to obviously to sway any type of testimony, but just make sure people are aware of the process. And that's part of our core mission, which is to demystify government, bring more people into the process, as well as being able to assist community boards like yourselves with different persistent problems. So my apologies again for not being able to be there in person tonight. We look forward to joining very soon in person. And thank you guys for your work.
Great, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We'll turn back now to the committee reports. Next is Radia Barnes from Business Development. Radia, take it away.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just want to thank my committee for a job well done this year. I really appreciate all the participation and input everyone has done. I'm going to refer to the minutes, but everyone just keep an eye out where the Business Development Committee is going to be having an event in August. More information to come. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Radia. Next is Heidi Guzman, Public Safety.
Good evening, everyone. This will be quick as I will mostly ask you all to refer to the minutes. I just wanted to take a minute to ask folks in the community, since we're entering into the summer where the board goes on a break, so public safety won't be meeting for the next 2 months. Something that has been emphasized by both the 33rd and 34th precincts throughout the last couple of months is for people to call in when they see especially quality of life concerns. So for example, in the 34th precinct, there's a pretty big condition of abandoned cars on Laurel Hill Terrace and other areas. And the precincts have made it pretty clear that if you report those things in, they will try to address it as quickly as possible. And so I just want to encourage you, if you observe quality of life conditions, to report them in 311-911. You can also email the community affairs officers for both precincts. If you want their contact information, please reach out to me and I will pass it along. They've made it pretty clear that they're open, their inboxes are open to receive photos of abandoned cars or, you know, mopeds joyriding in the sidewalk, this, that, and the third. And those community complaints are the way that the precincts are able to allocate the limited resources they have to address the concerns of the community. So I just, again, want to encourage folks to take advantage of the reporting mechanisms to continue to call those things in. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Heidi, next up is Wayne Benjamin, Chair of Land Use.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first of all, I want to thank my Land Use Committee members for their work for the first half of this year. And I also want to welcome all of the new CB12 members. I vaguely remember being a new member a year or two ago, but you're going to find this to be, behave yourself, exciting. So I do refer you to the minutes, but I just want to give you a quick overview. So at the June meeting, we had 3 presentations, one of which was from the Hispanic Society of America, which actually is going now by the Hispanic Society Museum and Library, to clarify that they are a museum and library that's open to the public. They are in negotiations to purchase the building that's currently occupied by Boricua College at the Audubon Terrace complex. And interesting fact, in I think 1978, when the American Geographic Association moved out of that building, the Hispanic Society had the opportunity to purchase it, but they deferred to Boricua, which now has 2 large, beautiful buildings, and one in the Bronx, one in Brooklyn. So it's not a done deal yet, but this will give Hispanic Society more office space. more exhibit space. They have a ton of Goyas that are not on display because they don't have the gallery space, and a lot more space for their educational programs. We also spoke with Sean Rickenbacker, who's the director of the Bond Center at City College, which worked with CB12 years ago on our land use and planning study, which is now more than a decade old. They're looking at having us partner with them on what's called an equitable development index, which allows us to evaluate development projects in real time, which is a much better tool than trying to look at it from a perspective of a planning study. And lastly, we met with a group of residents who want to look at some vacant and underutilized properties on Overlook Terrace that are part of apartment buildings that are up the hill, to see if they can get agreement to have them, take care of those sort of as a public garden, for lack of a better term. That's just in the early planning stages, so we look forward to see what we can do to help them achieve that.
Thank you. I'll turn it to Mary Anderson, our Chair for Concerns of the Aging.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to spend the first couple of minutes thanking all of the other committees for allowing the members of our committee to bring our ages and discussion to those committees. Everybody was well received at the other committees, and there was lots of discussion, and there was even a reso that will be forthcoming from one of the committees as a result of our presentation at the committees. The other thing I want to thank everybody for is the support for the Senior Safety and Wellness Fair that we had on June 12th in collaboration. The Aging Committee has been collaborating for the last 3 years with the DA's office, Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, Isabella Geriatric Center, and WICOA and other agencies to put this fair together as a safety and wellness fair for the seniors in the community. We had over 20 vendors, and we had over 100 attendees who enjoyed getting all kinds of information. They got all kinds of goodies. They enjoyed a Tai Chi demo, and also some raffles that was provided by the DA's office. And also City Harvest was there and brought all kinds of fruits and vegetables, fresh produce, and gave out bundles to each of the seniors that attended that fair. It was absolutely delightful. And so we hope to, continue this fair because it's an annual event. So thank you, everybody. And I want to thank my committee members for working hard all year on providing a lot of ideas for, presentations, as well as places to have our meetings, because we like to move out of the community board office. Since our meeting is in the morning, we'd like to move around the neighborhood. So we'll be doing more of that next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Housing and Human Services Chair, Indiana Porter.
I get to show off my chair. All right. Can you hear me? Great, thank you. So I'm Indiana. I'm Chair of Housing and Human Services. I'll just hold it. So we had 2 great meetings in June. On June 4th, we had a presentation about the project at 4095 9th Avenue. It's one of the projects that was a central piece of the Inwood rezoning. And that is a perfect segue into the second event that we had on June 11th. The committee and CB12 as a whole hosted a town hall about the Inwood rezoning. There was a presentation from various city agencies where they provided updates on the housing commitments specifically. My understanding is there may be efforts and future town halls that focus on some of the other issue areas. It was a great turnout. We had a lot of folks who were really involved in the Inwood rezoning advocacy from the very start. And so there was a lot of passion in the room, a lot of interest for more detailed information than some of what we received. So I think as the chair of this committee and as a board, we've committed to, following up with the city agencies to get more detailed information about the sizing of the units that, like were highlighted, I guess, as part of the update. The other thing I will say is I'm just going to take a moment to thank the committee members for all of your hard work, and also Jay Baez, who served on the committee but is not on the committee or on CB12 moving forward. He was a really strong leader and really provided a lot of insight to state level developments and their impact on us here locally, and was a great source of information about how we can get involved and how we can advocate. So really want to thank Jay for his time on the board.
Next is Steve Simon, Health and Environment.
All right, first of all, I'm glad that Carmen Paulino is still here, because I've had a grudge against her for the last year or so since she left the board and left my committee. So I want to air this out. It was a real blow when she left my committee and left the board. She was an incredible member of that committee, and I am opposed to the fact that she left this board. However, I am very proud of her, very proud that she has gone on to law school. Very proud that she has already finished her first year of law school successfully. And I know that her experience working on my committee was part of the grounding that gave her the ability to be an advocate and to argue successfully in the tort or whatever they do in law school. So congratulations, Carmen. It is great to have you back here. And we look forward to having you back in New York when you get your law degree and working in the public service, working on behalf of this community and others in New York City. You are a star. Then now to go back to what we're doing without Carmen. So at our last meeting, we had two presentations, one from the City Health Department. We've been waiting years for them to update the community health profile for Washington Heights and Inwood. They gave us a presentation. There's a lot of interesting data included in that health profile. I'm going to ask the board to send it out to all of the board members. It's I think a useful tool for people to have. One fact that I found interesting is that the life expectancy for people in Washington Heights and Inwood at 84.5 years is actually higher than New York City citywide, which is at 81.5 years. So if you live in Washington Heights and Inwood, you get 3 extra years. I think that maybe is a selling point for our community. Interesting, almost all of Manhattan, if you live almost anywhere in Manhattan, your life expectancy is higher than the citywide rate. We also got a presentation on the NHAN, National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which is a federal survey connected with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, which is going to be done in our community this summer. It's people in our community are going to be randomly selected for that survey. 600 or so households are going to be invited to participate. It's a two-phase survey. There's a 1-hour interview and then a 2-hour medical exam. Unfortunately, the medical exam is going to take place at a mobile van, which is going to be parked down at 131st and 12th Avenue on the Columbia University Manhattanville campus. They told us that they couldn't find a better location in Washington Heights and Inwood. So there'll be more information on that. Thank you. Go Carmen.
I'm sorry. Yes, the next one is, oh, okay. Isidro, do you have a report from licensing beyond your resolutions? Well, great. Tanisha, from Youth and Education.
Y'all can clap. Play with me, I work hard out here. Hey, y'all, so real quick, we had a few, first of all, I want to say thank you to Noemi and her partnership from George Washington campus. The students actually liked attending our Youth and Education Committee hearings, and I hope that we can continue it for next school year. Those are my babies. And it was also some of the kids that got laptops, so yay. So we had a presentation on early childhood, that there's a new early childhood hub nonprofit at Collegate Church. It's a whole new building. They should be having like a soft launch next, coming in September or October. So we'll keep you informed of that. We also had the ageism presentation that Mary talked about, which was amazing. And then we had a presentation from SCA, which is the School Construction Authority. We wanted to talk about what their plans are to build in our community. We know that we desperately need new schools built in our community, especially for our younger kids and our children with autism. So we hope that y'all will join us in fighting for standalone schools, not D75 schools. And D75, all children with all different ways of learning get kind of grouped together. So, there's not special attention given to each child's learning needs. But if we had standalone schools, y'all, most of us who have children or grandchildren who have autism in our community have to bus our children out. So that's something that we will also be talking to SCA about. We've heard about their plan to expand PS 187 and we don't understand it. That's my report.
Okay, Luana Ferreira, Chair of Parks. Are you able to go?
Hello, yeah, sorry, I've been having Wi-Fi issues. My apologies that I am online. I was actually en route back from the airport. I just got back from traveling and I was also off camera so that I don't give people motion sickness from the cab. That said, thank you to the PCA for a wonderful year. One more. Thank you for Alexis for chairing our last meeting and for Jody Hirsch for helping with the minutes as well, co-writing the minutes with me. Please refer to the minutes, in particular, the part where Parks submit a very thorough and comprehensive report, both on programming and capital improvements throughout Parks. We're looking forward to another year. I welcome the new board members. I hope you're motivated to join Parks. Dolphin Park is open. Thank you so much to Leo for co-writing the resolution with Parks. We had elected officials present and it's a wonderful space. The sprinklers will be open. My understanding is that the dolphin where water is spouted, the fountain, that's going to be open pretty soon. And now we're moving along also with communications with Parks on Wright's playground, Wright Brothers Playground. Jody is organizing a reimagining space for the Riverside Greenway, in particular with the signage about noise. I was very attentive in hearing about tonight's resolution, and also Ilya Tanya Payan Park. There's a lot of renovations going on there with the planters and the benches being removed, but those are going to be put in place in no time as well. So thank you, and cheers to another year. Thank you, Mary Anderson, for your presentation, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Luana. And then I am going to turn it to Ty from our outreach committee for their report.
And Stefan can come up too and talk about the survey. Hi, everybody. Good evening. So the outreach committee has been meeting for about 6 months, 5 or 6 months now since the beginning of the year. And thank you, Anthony, for the idea. It's been really productive. So the idea of the outreach committee is that we wanted to revamp all of the board's communication, and not just in a one-off manner, but collectively. So thinking about all the ways in which the board communicates with the public and trying to come up with one strategy for all those things. So we started to do that. And the main deliverable of that effort is a communications plan. And that includes an assessment of what that channel of communication has meant to date, as well as a going forward plan from our committee of how we recommend that the board run it in the future. And that is also actionable. And we've defined these channels, and we've defined them with owners. So individuals from our committee are taking responsibility to oversee these channels and be involved with them going forward. So I want to tell you all about what the channels are, so you know. We have the website, we have the email newsletter, social media, our event presence, youth and civic participation, community partnerships and direct mail, media relations, and Link NYC. And I want to give a shout out to my committee members. So going backwards, Link NYC is going to be owned by Eitan, who's great. Media relations, Stefan is going to help with that short term along with the survey. Community partnerships and direct mail, Lizette has taken leadership on that. Youth and civic participation, also Eitan. Events is being run by Hector, who's been awesome. Social media, Noemi Diaz has been helping with that. Woo. And email newsletter has been run by Jacob. And of course, Jacob is sadly leaving the board. So that speaks to, we need continued involvement from everyone, especially you new members. If you have expertise in one of these areas of communication, please speak with me. We would love to have your involvement as we continue this work. So over the summer, you'll get the communication plan, you can have feedback, then you'll see those strategies play out in the fall. So, and as a part of that, Stefan has put together a survey to send to the residents and also board members.
Thank
Yeah, yes.
You got it. Also want to announce that, as Ty just mentioned, that we will have our outreach assessment survey. To my knowledge, we haven't done this in recent history as a board, but essentially the purpose is to understand how it is that residents of Washington Heights and Inwood like to be communicated with, how involved they like to be, where should they get their information from, where do they get their information from. And so the survey, which we're hoping to launch later this week, but I commit to the end of the month, it's going to be through SurveyMonkey. It's going to take about 5 minutes. It's anonymous, and it's going to assess current community involvement, familiarity with CB12, as well as ideas for outreach improvements that the board can be making. And we hope to market this in person at Marcus Garvey, through printed flyers, social media, newsletter, of course, Link NYC, and then we'll rely on all of you folks to help spread the word. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
The survey will be in English and Spanish, and we can commit to if someone needs another language to translating it. Yes.
I didn't quite gather. What is it you're doing it wrong?
They're just tabling out Othello because Othello is playing for the month of July, so they'll be there spreading the word.
We encourage everyone to join them.
Yes, great. I do need to turn to the elected officials report. I see most of them online, so I'll start with Noah Coy from the Public Advocate's Office. Once you begin speaking, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I just want to start off by acknowledging Pride Month, Caribbean American Heritage Month, Black Music History Month, and Men's Mental Health Month, as well as the celebrations for Father's Day, Juneteenth, and the Knicks winning their first NBA championship in 53 years. So with that, I have only a couple of updates to share. So on May 27th, the public advocate released his plan for the city to deliver what's called Internet for All, which is a high-speed, low-cost citywide municipal internet service akin to a public utility. And under the public advocate's proposal, New York City would become the largest municipality in America to ensure access to affordable, reliable internet for residents. And my second update, this just came out earlier today. Ahead of the 250th anniversary of America, the public advocate, as well as performers, other elected officials, civil rights activists, and thought leaders will gather to reflect on what this moment in history means for Black America as they revisit Frederick Douglass's "What to the Slave is the 4th of July." And this event will be held at the historic site of the first slave market in New York City, where enslaved people of African descent were bought and sold across territories. The commemoration will include a dramatic reproduction of Douglass's speech, an address from the public advocate himself, cultural performances, and an honest discussion where leaders will discuss the progress won through generations of collective action, enduring barriers, and emerging threats facing Black families across the country. So this event is taking place at 100 Wall Street in downtown Manhattan on Saturday, June 27th at 10 a.m. And I believe you can RSVP for the event by visiting our office's Eventbrite page, which is nycpublicadvocate.eventbrite.com. And as always, any New Yorker who is experiencing issues with city, state, or federal agencies can contact our office by emailing gethelp@advocate.nyc.gov or by calling our office's constituent services hotline at 212-669-7250. And our office also receives constituents who make an appointment for an in-person visit. So that does it for me in terms of my updates. But if I have the time, I just want to answer a couple questions that I believe Steve and Isidro posed me during the February general board meeting. So I remember Steve asked about Intro 403-A, which is a bill the public advocate proposed to require DEP to unclog catch basins within 8 days of an inspection or complaint, and that DEP reports catch basin clearance data each year. So I believe Steve asked whether the community, like Washington Heights and Inwood, can see catch basin data for the community. And I just want to answer that by saying, currently our office, we don't have a way to access that data in real time without sending a special request to DEP on a monthly basis. So for that, I would suggest that the community board contact DEP directly to try to obtain that catch basin data for the community. And then I believe
You're past time, so you can
okay.
immediately respond to Isidro's question. if it's
Yeah.
very-
So Isidro, in response to Intro 408-A, which is a bill to create a division of street vendor assistance within the Department of Small Business Services, Isidro suggested that the public advocate conduct a walkthrough of street vendors on 181st Street. And I just want to respond to that by saying our office, we're a bit weary of having the public advocate conduct a walkthrough because we don't want to bring potentially unwanted media attention to vendors who don't currently have vendor licenses. But with that being said, any individual street vendor in the community who has an issue with maybe an application they filed for a food or general vendor license, they can always reach out to our office directly.
Thank you, Noah. I'll now turn it to Edgar Taveras from State Senator Robert Jackson's office. Okay, not hearing you unmute, I'll turn it then to Teresa Topete from Councilmember Shonneberry's office to give their report.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find a mute button, but I'll go next if that's okay.
Yep, that's perfect. Thanks. Teresa, take it away.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank and acknowledge outgoing members for their service to the community board. Unfortunately, we're a bit short-staffed this evening, so we are unable to attend in person, but I'd like to, our office would like to present citations to honor you all in a later date. I want to especially give a shout out to Bruce Robertson for his community leadership and engagement. So for office updates the other week, the Council's Consumer and Worker Protection Committee heard Majority Leader Breo's bill to ban dynamic pricing. This is one step closer to securing a protection against a new threat to New Yorkers' already stretched thin grocery budgets. It would prevent the rapid changing of grocery store prices so that egg prices can't be spiked for rush hour demand, or the price of milk changing between the shelf and the cash register through the use of electronic shelf labels, for example. This past weekend, we co-hosted a street co-naming ceremony on the corner of West 145th Street and Riverside Drive for the late Mary Lou Galvin Dr. Mary Lou Galvin, in partnership with her family and the Centro Cívico Cultural Dominicano. There was a big turnout for the community and a touching tribute to her legacy. The previous weekend, on June 13th, Majority Leader Breo joined a rally organized by neighbors at the Riverside Drive Viaduct. The latest update we've gotten is that the city is waiting on decisions from the state Supreme Court and appellate court regarding the appeal they filed to Jude Law's motion seeking a temporary restraining order and Jude Law's opposition to the appeal. We're hoping that there will be a decision made within the next few weeks. And lastly, the city's new free 2K program is still open for applications until June 26. So if people need help applying, they can reach out to our office for assistance. And 2K is for, children 2 years old seeking educational childcare. That's all from our office. Thank you all for listening.
Great, thank you so much. I'll turn it back to Edgar Taveras from State Senator Robert Jackson's office.
Hi, I apologize for the mishap a little while ago. There's not too much to report at the time. We did have a Father's Day basketball event in conjunction with a number of groups, including Dykeman Run Club, this past Saturday, and we're, as you know, today is the day that it is. What's going on today? We're also hosting an event, which is in association with the Dykeman Residents Association, which is called the Inwood Community Fair, this Saturday from 11 to 3 at Dykeman Houses. This is taking place at 3754 10th Avenue. If you're familiar with Dykeman Houses, that is the 7th building. That is the building right next to the park on 202nd Street and 10th Avenue. And there will be local organizations, there will be food, refreshments, music, all of the above. It'll just be a great time. And if you just would like to get to know some of Dykeman Houses and other places of Inwood a little better, feel free to join. And we also will be having Senator on Your Corner events where constituents and just about anybody can come and speak with the senator and also get access to constituent services throughout the month of July and August. And we will be releasing those dates as soon as possible. And that'll be that for now.
Great, thank you so much. We'll now move on to the section of the agenda called items for a vote, starting with the executive committee. There are 3 items for a vote on tonight's agenda from the executive committee. The first is the adoption of the revised and restated bylaws. It sent these bylaws in a red line form to the board a couple weeks ago. And last week, the executive committee came together, discussed those changes, and passed a recommendation to the board to ratify and adopt those revised bylaws. Agenda item B, let me just go back and state that the main changes in the bylaws revolve around latenesses, particularly how many latenesses a person can have in a 6 and then 12-month period, and how lateness is defined. I believe it's 30 minutes from the moment the meeting is called to order is how it will be defined under the revised bylaws. And then we also put a definition around substantial portion of a meeting. That was a term that was already used in our bylaws, but it was undefined, so it could be interpreted many ways. It's now defined as 80% of any committee meeting, and for the general board attending at least a majority of the meeting, which shall include the public session and items for a vote. Any questions about that before I move on to the next one? Yes, Steve?
Yes,
Can we pass the mic around just so this way the comments are available on Zoom as well?
I raised this issue at the executive committee meeting, and I'll raise it again. We do provide for excused absences. I believe we should also provide for excused latenesses. We should not assume that every single lateness should be handled in a punitive way. There are standing issues like subway breakdowns, work-related issues that might cause somebody to be late. I think we need to have a provision here that provides for excused latenesses. Not just automatically send somebody to the to jail because they happen to be late on a number of occasions. There should be an opportunity to explain the lateness.
Thanks, and just for the record, for the board members who may not have had an opportunity to review it, the number of latenesses is 3 in a 6-month period and then 5 in a 12-month period. So I think very, very reasonable considering, you know, the number of meetings that we have. Any other questions? Yes, Kyle.
I think voting should be like going to go vote.
Sure, that makes sense.
If we have like a carve out for voting, since this is always on a Tuesday.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, I was late. I went to go vote. I was late. I went to go vote. I mean, it can count as late. I'm not really thinking about just me, just anybody in general who wants to make the effort to go and vote after they leave work, who want to get here as on time as possible.
Liz?
So I hope this isn't regarded as a non sequitur, but I would like to go on the record. I am begging us collectively as a board to not hold the June meeting on the 4th Tuesday. I think we should hold the June meeting on the 3rd Tuesday. It's been a problem since the primary got moved to the 4th Tuesday instead of being in September. And every year we have a problem with less than robust attendance. So I would like for the executive committee to obviate that particular need by institutionalizing the June meeting for the 3rd Tuesday.
Yes, thanks for that. I do want to flag, just for the new members, that we typically discuss our calendars at the executive committee meeting. This was not flagged in either our April or May meeting. Had it been flagged at that time, very likely we would not be meeting tonight. So I'll just go on the record and respond to that comment. With respect to adding excuses for latenesses, I think we did discuss that at the executive committee, but because of how many different types of potential excused latenesses there could be, it was decided at that point that we would not attempt to create a comprehensive list, and we did not move forward with that suggestion. Any other questions about the bylaws? Kathy?
To Steve's point, if there are extraordinary circumstances, let's say, like I can recall when the bridge thing fell and traffic was super held up here, a lot of those were to the meeting. I'm curious if, and I don't have it in front of me, but that carve out where we do have that review period, if there are extraordinary circumstances that a member can submit so that we can be considered, because even if you're 40, 50 minutes late, like late is late, I understand Steve's point about how it shouldn't be punitive when there's something out of our control. So perhaps instead of adding that at the beginning, it's just something that the secretary and the exec consider when we review all six or however many yeses there are.
Yeah, Kathy raises an excellent point. Point of clarification for our new board members. So if you trigger the number, let's say of latenesses or unexcused absences, this does not automatically mean you are up for removal. What will happen under these revised bylaws is when the secretary reviews attendance and latenesses, the executive committee will decide whether you should be put on a corrective action plan. That corrective action plan can contain a number of ways that you correct your attendance issues or your lateness issues. From there, if you don't correct it or you choose not to enter the plan, then based off of the executive committee's vote, a recommendation would then appear before the full body. And this general body would have to remove you. So there are several steps, right? I think if you have 5 extraordinary instances causing you to be late, you can certainly make that case at the full board or even at the executive committee, and at one of those 2 forums, they may decide not to proceed with the removal process. Wayne? Oh, and yeah, that corrective action plan must be a minimum of 60 days. Wayne?
So just to the point made by Steve and by Catherine, there is nothing that prevents the board through the bylaws task force for reconsidering, not now, but reconsidering if excused lateness is added and coming up with a workable discrete set of excuses that makes sense. So that it's not something that we cannot look at, starting either during the summer or, in the fall.
Thank you. Any other questions, Hector?
Wonderful, thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, this is starting in September or this is retroactive, you're looking at the past 6 months?
No, not retroactive. These new bylaws would take effect July 1st, but yeah, I mean, meetings don't recommence until September.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Stefan?
This is not substantive, I just wanted to flag that section 5.4.3 says groups for removal. I believe that's meant to be grounds for removal, so friendly amendment is.
Very likely friendly amendment taken. Thank you. If it is in fact supposed to be friends. Jim?
I also remind everyone that we do have early voting in New York State now, so people don't have to vote on Tuesday, the 4th day of June.
Okay, seeing no other hands, I will move on. The next resolution is with respect to what actually the council member Shauna Bray's office mentioned regarding the viaduct project currently happening at 158th Street. So they had mentioned that there is a lawsuit pending in court at this time in the commercial division. For those of you familiar with that area on Riverside Drive and 158th Street, the contractor did walk off the job several years ago and then is now attempting to take, well, has taken the Department of Transportation and the City of New York to court. The most recent outcome of that case, and it's still ongoing, is that the judge informed DOT that it may not commence what's called a default hearing, where DOT would look at the rest of the contract. It's not part of the case, and determine whether Judd Law, the contractor, defaulted under any other clause. The community is outraged. The council member's office had mentioned a number of events that have taken place. This board, we discussed that the executive committee has the option under recent amended rules to submit what's called an amicus brief. It first has to move to submit the amicus brief, and the purpose would be to give the judge the perspective that she can't otherwise acquire from the parties. I think that it's important that the community board 12 speaks on behalf of the residents of that area. And so that resolution would be to authorize us to submit first a motion to the court to submit an amicus brief and then follow that up with an amicus brief. I will say I have spoken with the chair of Community Board 9 part of the viaduct project does touch Community Board 9's district as well, and they'd be willing to sign on to the amicus brief as well. Steve?
I think this is a fantastic thing for us to be doing, and it's gonna require a lot of work, and I'm glad you're agreeing to take it on. My suggestion is that in the eighth whereas, where we say the residents have been suffering since 2024, really, they've been suffering since 2019, since the beginning of this project. A lot of late night noise, a lot of construction activity, way past midnight, all sorts of other problems going on. I would urge you to change that to the date to reflect the fact that this has been going on for 7 years at this point.
Accepted. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the next resolution in opposition of legislation creating term limits. Is this with respect to this one or the previous one?
Just want to bear on record, right? The resolution is not, or our submission, we're gonna file is not going to take a position, right?
For which one?
On the
The
way.
deadlock? You mean like whether one party should win in the case? No. It would be to provide the perspective of what this has done to those communities. Yeah, thank you so much. That's very appreciated. With resolution C, so there is pending legislation in city council that, if enacted, would enable, well, one would place 4-year term limits on community board district managers. And then second would give the borough president unilateral power to remove a district manager. This would, of course, limit the autonomy of the community board, not only to appoint, but to make decisions about the hiring process of its district managers. Other community boards have come out in opposition of this legislation. In fact, it was introduced twice. This is the second instance of it being introduced. The resolution before you simply states much of what I just said, plus that we would be opposing that legislation being enacted. Any questions about that or comments from community board members? Seeing none, I will move on to Steve Simon, who will speak on the revised notes resolution. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so what we are considering is the updated version of the resolution that was presented last month, or we tried to present last month. And in fact, it was also an earlier version was also presented last year, failed to pass by 1 vote because of abstentions, as Kimberlyn mentioned earlier. In that case, the abstentions were critical. So Anthony asked us to reconsider this issue because SAPO evidently was saying that it did not need to inform us of these events because we had never taken a position, never passed a resolution. It would truly be unfortunate if the board once again failed to take a position on this issue that concerns so many people in the community, as you've heard tonight, as we heard last month, as we've been hearing for quite a while. You have heard many people speak during the public session. We also have received quite a number of emails in support of this resolution, many from people who were unable to attend tonight. What we are proposing, as you've heard, is very reasonable, a common sense attempt to resolve this issue. We are proposing a policy for events for all 6 of our plazas, where there has basically been no policy up to now. This does not affect block parties, does not affect street festivals. It is only targeted or dealing with the plazas. Everyone would understand the rules. There would be a limit on the hours of amplified sound. They would not be allowed early in the morning, late at night, or for entire weekends. The events would be publicized in advance to people in the community so that people could attend or choose to make other plans. The community board would be notified of the permitted events so that we can fulfill our obligation to help notify the residents. Our number 1 priority should be the residents of this community. They should be able to enjoy the use of their homes. It is my hope that with the new members here tonight, they will finally enable us
to pass a resolution and to take a stance on behalf of the community. Thank you.
So I live near the Dagenham Plaza. I love many of the events that happen there. I am glad they happen there. They're happy, they're fun. Sometimes they are a little bit loud. It would be great to have notice, and I frankly like the idea and think it is quite reasonable. To not have back-to-back events. We've heard an awful lot of testimony from community. I really encourage everybody to vote in favor of this.
Well, Steve, first and foremost, I'm pretty disappointed. A few members last meeting, last board meeting, made some points, and they weren't considered on this parallelism. We're gonna be honest, this parallelism mirrors last month's parallelism. I heard from so many community residents targeting one specific plaza. We have 6 plazas in our community, and we didn't hear no other community residents advocate against or for these plazas. If we're gonna discuss the Cascadia Plaza, I'm fairly open to it, but we should table it and just highlight the Cascadia Plaza and not screw people over. Quite honestly, I think it targets the demographic in our community, plenty of organizations that wait for nice weather to have these events, and it just takes away from the majority of what people think. Again, not disrespecting the people who show up, but this resolution, we didn't do outreach, or we didn't go to the other process and get input on what we think should happen. So I would either A, consider going back and just fixing it to highlight Cascadia Plaza, or table it and do. But now it's another.
Well, I think we should have one policy that affects all the plazas. I don't think we should single out any one of them.
If you want to tell people to not bring the mic, or do you want me to pick people?
Okay, what, Wayne?
Yeah, I just want to point out if I heard correctly that Sapo's position is, since the community board has never taken a position or passed a resolution, it has no obligation to provide us with notice. I think that is a ridiculous position for them to take. I mean, the community board should know when there are permitted events, so that we can also inform neighbors. But, you know, both the community board and the affected buildings should be notified the same way that if there's construction going on, there are obligations to notify the affected buildings. So I think their position is absolutely ridiculous. Also, what I've heard is that there are, and this is not the first time we've heard, that there are existing laws that are not being enforced, and whether it is DEP or DOT or NYPD, there's no need to create new laws, they just need to be enforced, and I don't think it's unreasonable for the community board to ask for or to demand that occur. And so, in very simple terms, we should get notice and one should be enforced that are already on the books.
I want to agree with Steve that there should be one set of rules for all plazas. You shouldn't single out one plaza. And the rules that they may have been triggered by too much noise at one plaza in particular, but as a set of rules, I think that's obviously appropriate for all of the plazas, and the other plazas are not are actually following the rules, or not irritating their neighbors or whatever. That's a wonderful thing, but I don't think these rules that we are proposing will crimp their style at all.
Just a point of information, this resolution seems to create stricter quiet hours than what the city actually has laid out. Is that correct?
Well, there are no particular rules right now. So you do have events that are running very late into the night, as you've heard, 10 o'clock or so, or even later maybe. So in this case, we are saying 8 o'clock should be the cutoff. And in fact, the plaza manager at Cascadia has told Anthony that his intention is to not have events exceed 8 o'clock. So
But I guess that's my point of information that the quiet hours in New York are till 10 p.m. And so
Well-
this resolution would restrict those till 8 p.m., correct?
Well, I'm not aware that there's a 10 o'clock limit on quiet hours, but this would establish at the plazas 8 o'clock.
I just feel kind of uncomfortable with the resolution in terms of the idea of enforcing new laws that we are deciding based off of what I heard a testimony of like 40-something signatures on a community of thousands that is based on. I just feel like this is not really representative of, like, I grew up playing in this. Well, before this plaza was built, I grew up.
Yes, sir.
So as a resident of this neighborhood and someone who's was born nearby and as a child who played in this neighborhood, different things like when we speak about noise in this neighborhood, noise in this neighborhood from when I was a child has dramatically gone down. From cars playing obnoxiously loud music that would damage fish tanks and apartments to now very quiet neighborhoods all throughout the Washington Heights. This I feel like to kind of change what the Heights is. I feel like if that's the idea, then we should go to the community and have the community vote on this and not have a select group of individuals enforce new laws created by them upon the community. Laws that seem to be more stringent than the city of New York.
What?
Do you want to respond to that or no?
Well, I don't believe that what we're proposing here is any more stringent than what currently exists in law. We are complying with the law within the bounds of the law. We're not, and this is again, rules that would be set with the cooperation of city agencies. And the
Members of the public, please do not scream out curse words while testimony is being heard. Everyone was very respectful up until that point. Let's keep it that way moving forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would also like to add that to Leo's point, the issue seems to be specifically with Quisqueya Plaza. And what I see in the resolution is that if we, for example, I run a community organization and if I would like to host an event at a different plaza and another organization, Hector's organization would like to throw an event, we only have 8 weeks in the summer. If we'd like to host back-to-back events that are not loud, that are not terrible to the community or whatever the claims may be, tormenting the community, but it's truly to help the community, then based on the resolution and what's being proposed, we wouldn't be able to host back-to-back events. So I do think that this needs to be reviewed and provided, and I hear like the sentiments of community members.
Well, what we tried to accommodate, we tried to accommodate that particular request about not having an absolute strict prohibition on back-to-back events by saying that we should not have back-to-back lengthy events, which would go up to the whole 4-hour period. And the premise being that we should not have high-impact events back-to-back. We are allowing under this resolution some back-to-back events.
Board members who have not yet spoken and are wishing to speak, please raise your hand so I can just count you. Okay, I see 4. We're gonna cap it at those 4, just so we can move on. Oh, so. Yes, and new members, because this is your first meeting, please state your name as you're speaking. All right, so I'll yeah, so 5.
I'll keep myself a bit brief. Hi, my name is Daniel. I was recently appointed this year. I mean, really simply put, I agree and hear a lot of everything that everyone's saying. I simply, my first reaction was reading the amendment or the resolution was simply that we're going about this in both trying to amend and enforce at the same time. My opinion is that this resolution should do an enforcement first, as well as recording 301 calls, as well as recording any form of information that records this on a legal state. Because I do feel like we're now changing the way in which the police should be operating before the police have told us what they're experiencing. And even then, the data will show and say this area is clearly getting disrupted, noise, etc. And I think that should be the order and operation in which we go forward with this resolution.
Well, let me just say that we consciously, in response to concerns that were voiced concerning the previous version of the resolution, we took out any references to the police doing the enforcement. We're asking that basically it be self-enforcing and that the plaza managers to take the primary responsibility for doing the enforcement. We are not asking the police to intervene and do the enforcement.
Is there a precedent to that working?
Well,
Good
evening, my name is Arlene, board member. Just for transparency, I do work in a local arts organization that produces outdoor events, and not in this particular plaza. So I just wanted to say that up front, and before I say my statement, I do think this needs to be reviewed. I am not they're not very agreeing upon the back-to-back events, the limits and times. I do agree that decibels sometimes are way louder and higher than we are accustomed to and assimilate. So we do need to review, I think, and consider this, even though we are accustomed to it. So I would suggest to review the law, but not to cancel or limit this, because it activates the zone, it dynamizes the community, and it is a great moment for the community to gather and have fun. But it should be in a more Okay, hi, I'm Jemima. I'm the report number. I was hoping to review the minutes, but I didn't see them on the air table. So my question is, was there any complaints or concerns about the other plazas? Because from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Piscata's Plaza is run differently since it's a share. It has an agreement with the DOT for the restaurant to use it as an outdoor dining space. So if the concerns have been tonight about Piscata's Plaza, I wonder if in that meeting it was being discussed about it's managed differently to Haven, to Alianza, to Plaza de las Americas and itself.
well, we have heard complaints in the past, and in fact, I did get one just the other day about the plaza at 175th Street, Plaza de las Americas, and I've also heard in the past complaints about the one next to our office on Audubon Avenue. It's not only Quisqueya, although obviously Quisqueya generates most of the complaints. What's that?
You asked. I guess what was that?
My second question was in the meeting, it discussed that Piscata Plaza is run differently because DOT has a contract, it's run differently to the other plazas, so they have a contract.
No,
They have an agreement, thank you.
no, but DOT has the same agreements with the other plaza managers. It's not significantly different from the others. Although there is no manager for the one at Audubon.
Hi, Kathy. Okay, so last month submitted frenemies, what we call frenemies, which is the revisions that we've been talking about. And I shared those with Steve. I'm gonna share them on the mic again. And I think it's really important for context. Like, we've been talking about this for like 2+ years, and I understand the desperation that folks who live nearby Piscata, specifically folks in general who want to see some changes. And I think it's also important, Steve, to contextualize why it hasn't necessarily been a successful resolution and why we've been inched into a progress on it, because there have been legitimate questions about the implementation and execution of these asks. So part of, again, like what folks have raised is around, if we're asking Staple to set a standard that's applicable to all of them. I'm sorry, I don't know, but not all of them. When we've only heard about one type of event, which are large events. Staple defines them as large, meaning 80 to 100% of the plazas are filled of people, right? And that's the level of capacity. We're not talking about children's story hours. People have not complained about health fairs and resource fairs. And so none of the language in the bullet points reflect that. And so if we don't amend it, all of those type of events would also be applicable. So I'm gonna raise again that I requested last month and you accepted that we could make it large back-to-back events. Meaning that 80 to 100% of the plaza would be full, no matter which plaza it is. Second, you added a new language around lengthy. I think that's incredibly subjective because lengthy could be 2 hours and so somebody's 8. I think we're talking about full day. And then the second one, which I think the fellow new member that raised up, we submitted last month as well, is a consideration of the hours that the city has across the board for different plazas, right? Which is 10 o'clock instead of 8. I don't understand why we need to limit for 4. Like, I think it's a bit of a contradiction if you have a limit of 4 hours, but then you're also still allowed to have it until 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. So I do think that you should still, I'm suggesting, I'm asking to strike the 4 hours and keep the time limits from the daytime to the nighttime and requesting my last one.
Well, I think the 4 hours are key. But I am willing to amend the back-to-back provision. If you want to change lengthy to large, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'll second. I just want to say, I'm frustrated about the process with this reso. The voice of the community is very clear about this specific plaza, with this specific problem. The reso, in my opinion, needs to reflect that, because when it goes beyond that, it starts to read as an indictment of the culture neighborhood, which is not what I want. That said, I believe this problem is extremely urgent. I believe it's critical that we as a board speak out on it. I plan to vote yes on the amendment or on the resolution, despite my concerns, especially if those friendly amendments are considered. I think that it's so urgent that even though I have a lot of quibbles with how this is and how this has been done, I want to speak out on it. And so I do encourage my fellow board members to do the same if we can make some of these small tweaks. Thank you.
Motion to table for something back to the committee.
I second.
Right, that's a roll call.
Sorry, Steve, I got killed in the action.
If the folks in Zoom, there was a motion to table, but they already seconded by Tanisha.
Is it now, if you vote again, the resolution does not get voted on tonight, it gets tabled to September. Alright, if you vote yes, the motion is to table it at this meeting and it won't be discussed and put up for a vote until September. If you vote no, then you're voting to proceed with the vote at tonight's meeting. Isn't it? Table.
Would be proceed with the discussion.
No, the motion was to table.
Right, and if people vote.
Oh, yeah, if you vote no, then yes, we proceed with it, yes, and then we would vote. On no, because I capped it at 5, so there is no more discussion.
As I heard it, motion was to send it back to committee, in which case, yes. So it will go back to committee, and if the committee wishes, we will then we'll vote on a revised motion in September. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will now proceed with a roll call.
Richard Bowman,
No. You can repeat the roll vote.
Richard Ullman votes no. Jaleel. Whose group did this small? Jaleel Amador.
Yes.
Mary Anderson, Jaleel votes yes. Mary Anderson. Mary votes no. Radia Barnes. Is Radia still on? Wayne Benjamin.
No.
Wayne votes no. Jim Berlin.
No.
Jim votes no. Hector Bonilla.
Yes.
Votes yes. Denise Caniff.
No. Votes no. Brad DeBose. Votes yes. Stephen De Jesus. I'm sorry, Stefan De Jesus. Not voting, due to conflict. Lester De La Cruz.
Just to clarify, we're voting on releases.
We're voting for it to go back to committee.
Let's go keep those.
Catherine Diaz. Catherine Diaz votes no. Noemi Diaz. Noemi Diaz votes yes. Hector Espinal.
Yes.
Votes yes. Edwin Fernandez.
Yes.
Votes yes. Luana Ferreira. Are you still here, Luana?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, voting no.
Voting no. Sonia Figueroa Pagan.
Voting no.
Voting no. Dario Frias.
Yes.
Voting yes. Tai Fujimura.
No.
Voting no. Daniel Huepan. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
You did.
Can you tell me how to correctly pronounce your name? Huepan. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, you voted no? Tanisha Grant. Votes yes. Heidi Guzman. Okay. Leo Jimenez. I'm sorry, Heidi Guzman is not voting due to conflict of interest. She votes for DOT. Leo Jimenez votes yes. O.C. Kavanaugh. Votes no. Connor Lillis.
Yes.
Votes yes. Alexis Marnell.
Yes.
Votes yes. Isidro Medina. Votes yes. Diogenes Montano. Votes yes. Jeremy Menez, not here. Indiana Porto. Votes yes. I vote no. Arlene Rodriguez.
See a conflict of interest if I put these concerts?
No. More to the point, so you don't do them in this district? When you do, wait, no, when you do these, are you paid? Because the definition of a conflict of interest has to do with money. So if you are not paid to do them, that would not technically be a conflict of interest, I believe. Then that would be a conflict of interest, so I'm gonna put you down as not voting due to conflict of interest. Gershon Rosenberg. Yes. Janelle Sandoval. No. Steve Simon.
No.
No. Melissa Sims, are you here?
Yes, no. I'm voting no.
Melissa Sims votes no. Lizette Tavares. Yes. Tavares, sorry. Votes yes. Anthony Viola. Votes no. Is there anyone in attendance whose name I did not call? Claudia.
Barn.
No, wait, Claudia Mendoza, oh, I did not have you was here, and you are voting yes, and Radia Barnes.
No.
Nazareth, yeah. Radia voted no. Okay, and Nazareth, Yemen? Nazareth, Yemen? Correct pronunciation of your name? Okay. Yes. Nazareth, can we get the correct pronunciation of your last name?
Yamani.
Yamani. Okay, Nazareth Yamani, who is here and is voting yes or no?
No.
Voting no. Okay, give me a hot second to count these. Can somebody cue the Jeopardy music, please?
Yes.
He's gonna proceed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So on behalf of Traffic and Transportation, I want to give a shout out to Melissa and Noemi, who have been taking the meeting minutes. We passed recently a resolution in conditional support of e-bike battery swap stations to the district. I'll explain why they conditioned in a bit, but as you guys have known, since 2022, we had 4 really bad fires in our district, resulting in 4 deaths because of lithium-ion battery charging illegally. So we had DOT attend our meeting and present on potentially installing 4 hubs or 4 stations in our district. These stations will serve for deliveristas or anybody who needs to swap their batteries to go to the station, swap out their batteries, and then they can continue on with their shift. We gave some conditions because during the presentation, we felt as if DOT didn't do the proper outreach and they kind of just stationed them near residential areas and not necessarily near commercial corridors. So they proposed locations on Wadsworth and Broadway, several corners of Wadsworth and Broadway. But we just thought that they should kind of go to the commercial corridors, talk to the businesses, talk to the deliveristas, and just kind of get a sense of where it's needed. So that's one of the conditions. So we've had issues with DOT in the past where they kind of come in and impose infrastructure on us. We wanted to make sure they did local outreach, right? I don't think it's fair to install a station near a residential building if you haven't communicated with the residents or the people living there. So that was another condition. Shout out to Jim Berlin. We included language about how DOT and NYPD will address community concerns regarding sidewalk riding and speed. Obviously, if they're going on the sidewalks to exchange the batteries, they would need to ride on the sidewalk. So I think that's something of concern that they should address prior to implementation. And then we want to make sure that they're coming and actually stocking these stations or maintaining them. As we've seen some city bikes in certain areas in our district, they're just empty charging stations. So we want to make sure that the maintenance partner that DOT work with comes into our area and ensures that they're properly maintained monthly before they finalize these locations. Any questions?
Leo, one of the proposed locations are basically like in the same area of Washington Heights. Shouldn't they be spread around? Wouldn't we want one of them at least to be up in Inwood? Don't we want greater coverage of the whole neighborhood, not just have it basically in the 170s? This doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Steve, first time I agree with you tonight. Yes, I agree completely. We brought that, the committee members brought that concern. And that's the reason we added as conditions. We think that they should focus more on commercial corridors throughout the district, not necessarily in those areas.
I know, but more specifically, not just, I would get a change that resolve clause to say that urges the DOT to reconsider the 4 proposed locations, shift its focus towards the entire community, including high density commercial corridors. I think we should at least have one up in Inwood.
I agree. I will take your friendly amendment.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, the 4 locations that are listed in the resolution, it says that they're proposed 4 potential locations. Does that mean that they have committed to 4 locations, or these are the 4 that they're considering, and they may put 1 or 2?
So yes, those are the 4 they're considering. Obviously, they're going back to the community for feedback. But those are the ones that they're proposing.
So they want to do 4.
4 at the moment are district. Those are the ones that they identified. Okay. Thank you. I'll add that, Steve.
So we did the roll call and it was a tie, which means it fails. So we are voting tonight on agenda item D. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it to Heidi Guzman for agenda item F. I think we're running around.
Okay.
All right, so this resolution came out of the presentation that Mary Anderson from Concerns of the Aging presented at the last public safety meeting. It was a really robust discussion. And as a result of the discussion, the committee felt unanimously in agreement that we should have a resolution calling on more enforcement on quality of life concerns that specifically affect our aging and elderly population. We believe that these quality of life conditions also enforcement of these quality of life conditions also benefit the entire community. And I'm going to turn it over to Ty, who is the auteur of the resolution, for more commentary.
Thank you. I've never been an officer. Yes, there's three things that we're calling on in the reso, which came directly from the insights that Mary brought of the experiences of our elderly population. So it's vehicles that block at the pedestrian ramps, makes it very difficult for people in mobility scooters to get onto the sidewalk. Vehicles parked at bus stops make it difficult for folks to get on and off the bus. And then e-bikes, bicycles, scooters, any other prohibited vehicle on the sidewalk can represent a very significant safety concern if someone's coming out of their door and there's a scooter zipping by. So this reso is strictly calling for enforcement of existing laws. All these things are illegal, but they're often overlooked. And so we feel it's important that we speak out for our elderly population and everyone else who's affected by these issues as well.
And before I turn it over to questions, our committee encompasses a pretty wide variety of views around policing and sort of politics around policing. And the committee unanimously supported this resolution, in spite of people, having different opinions about, whether the police should be abolished or not. But I think as a committee, despite some of our political differences around policing, we feel pretty strongly that quality of life conditions are something that affect everyone. So for example, this notion of blocking pedestrian ramps, it's not just about someone in a wheelchair. For example, if a parent has a stroller, or you're a tourist with your suitcase, or you just don't feel like jumping into a puddle that's off the side of the curb, that's a really easy way to improve the quality of life. These are all pretty much like summonsable offenses. Any questions? Wow.
Now I'll turn it to Medina for licensing resolutions. Or Hector, whichever one of you two, or Zito. Okay, thanks, Zito.
Thank you so much, Chair. First, shout out to Lisette for submitting the minutes. Thank you so much. Also, shout out to Steve, Olsey, and Liz for providing us with some positive comments about some of the issues that we have on licensing. First, on the agenda item number 1, that's a renewal. It's not a new license for cannabis. So just put it on your note that this is indeed a renewal. Also a note, if you check agenda item number 11 on your agenda, that should have been a withdrawn. So the committee didn't take any action on agenda item number 11 because that particular agenda item was withdrawn at the committee level. Also, a quick note, note that Booney Cafe, we didn't list any hours because the committee felt that was not necessary since they closed really early at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon. So there was no need to write down the hours. But if need be, I'm open for any recommendations and amendments. Also note that we have requested at least one applicant to submit a proof of purchase as unlimited. They did submit those proofs, so that's in order. No need to reverse the decision. And also, there are 2 applications by the Met. One of them is a renewal, and they also submitted an application to have like a card, so that whenever they have events, they can have that option to serve wine. That's why you see 2 different applications there. Now you will see a lot of issues on agenda item numbers 5 and 6. and that is in reference to Made in Mexico and Caramelo, right? Many of you have heard many problems at Caramelo. Both applicants, interestingly, they somehow forgot to put the public notice. That's really messed up because these are two really complicated licenses. And when the community doesn't know what's going on and they're not informed that they will be coming up to the community board, then the residents practically lose access to be heard. And I think that's really unfair. On both of these locations, PD reported multiple incidents ranging from fights, sell to minors, shooting outside some of the premises. In one instance, one of the officers got injured by one of the patrons. Those are really devastating problems. And we actually recommend that those two licenses be rejected, the renewals. We do understand that Caramelo got the license renewed. And it's unfortunate because the SLA, trying to be really fair, they actually recommended Caramelo to close on a daily basis at 2 a.m., right? PD did a route and they found out that Caramelo was open until 4 o'clock at night. That's really unfortunate. We have spoken with the owners from Made in Mexico. They want to redo the method operations because they know that there are issues. They have changed the security guards there, but in my essence, my opinion is not enough. There are many issues that have been listed, but I would like for you to check the minutes because there are too many of them. Just Made in Mexico alone received over 300 noise complaints. So it's a lot, but I'm going to open up the floor now to see if there are any questions. I see Wayne, Steve, Ozzy, then Jimberlin.
Right, Steve, you mentioned that there was an applicant that you asked to provide evidence of sound limiters, and they did provide. Which one is that?
That's agenda item number 13.
Can you take that?
That was Steve.
Uh, 14, the cafe card at the Oyster, did you say that that would only be in operation during special events?
Special events, yes.
Okay, very good.
Followed by Ozzy.
I have two questions. Applicant number one, did you go over with them about the posters that they attached to every single light posting in Golden Place and also in the Bronx? Twice when they were told not to do it because it's illegal. I don't know if that came up. My second question, in regards to, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. I strongly recommend that you please add the hours of operation for the cyber cafe. We need to be consistent. If we do the hours of operation right for everyone else, even if it's 5 p.m., it doesn't matter. You don't want anyone to come later and say, hey, at 10 p.m., when you discriminate against me because 10 p.m. it's not 5. Just put the hours of operation, please. I had one more and I forget what it was to come back to.
First, I'll take that as a friendly amendment on Boni Cafe because I think you're right. We would like to be consistent. As far as like the postings, as you indicated, completely illegal. That didn't come up on committee. But if it comes to be like a pattern, we'll definitely be able to address it. Before I continue, I see that my vice chair has a question. Go ahead, first.
Also, one of my name is Dr. I'm the vice chair of procedural. How's it going, everyone? My name is Dr. Ray. I serve as the Budget Chair of the License Committee under the CB12M. One point of clarification for agenda item 5, the renewal. Made in Mexico. The 30-foot precinct did also notify us that patron was inside the establishment with the bar on it. That was checked from security.
Three things. Number 5 remains an objection, is that correct?
Correct.
Number 6 remains no objection, is that correct?
Number 6 is an objection.
It is an objection. Okay, and finally, number 8, the class change. Your minutes did not say exactly what the class change is.
Class change goes from usually a beer and wine, and they upscale or get upgraded to a full liquor license. So that's a class
That's
change.
the class change.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Steve.
Yeah, Steve, can I just go back to number 13, Inwood Craves? I'm concerned about the records here in the minutes where you stated there were prior issues with the cruise establishment that the operator had. He says it was customers bringing in outside liquor, and there's no indication whether or not he tried to control that situation, whether he took any action. I mean, do we have confidence that he knows how to operate a liquor establishment if he's allowing people to come in with outside liquor?
Based on the testimonies that we heard at the committee, the owner seemed to have experience, and we asked him about who's going to handle alcohol because of the same precise problem. So he said that he's going to have someone that is trained. This is a very delicate issue, and if they get around and get caught, I think that this will be something that SLA will take a look into it. So it is a serious problem, and we did address that question there.
We have one more question, and then I think we close.
Is it we have 16 new members. Could you please explain to everyone that applicants can always come back to the revised application, and if we submit it, then you will include them.
Thank you, Ozzy. So the fact that the committee can render an opinion for you board members to vote on the matter, the applicants can always come back next month. And they can come back even for 6 months in a row. There's no limit. And the idea that they come back is that they either have something new or they change out their method of operations, or maybe they negotiate with PD about closing hours. So they can always come back. And sometimes we have applicants that we have rejected. I recall one particular operator that we kind of rejected about 5 times. They came back. We worked a deal about closing hours, also limiting the number of clients coming to the premise. So once that was negotiated, we were able to vote in favor of that particular applicant. For new members, just a shout out, if you like to participate and be part of the license committee meeting, check with the chair, and I'm sure he'll be appointing you at least one of these spots. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yes, you have a question from Noemi.
For number 7, it's located on 2048 Amsterdam Avenue. Did we check how close that is to that charter school that is right down the block? You know that there has to be some type of.
That is a really good question. I mean, to be honest with you, I did not check for any school proximity. If they are close enough to a 200 full rule, then the SLA will have an immediate suspension on that request. So I didn't check on that, so I couldn't answer you yes or no. Yes, thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to show the next screen very quickly, and then we'll come back to this once everyone knows what they're voting for. So this screen is the roll call screen. Many of you new members attended orientation and heard mine and Alexis's spiel on this. For the items that are for a vote, if you are choosing to vote one way on all of the resolutions, you simply say yes to all, no to all, abstain on all. If you are deviating or changing your votes, then you start with what's different. So let's say you say no on resolution X, abstain on resolution Y, yes to the rest. That's the sequence we typically take. Now, one flag I will make here with the licensing resolutions, my understanding, although this doesn't happen frequently, is that if you were to vote no, let's say the board votes no on a resolution, I believe the recommendation simply dies as opposed to flipping. So tonight you may have heard that the licensing committee determined to flip one of its recommendations because they did not meet a stipulation. So something went from a non-objection to an objection. So if you vote yes, you're agreeing to the objection. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, and then with conflicts of interest, we've already been through this, but if you do have a conflict on a matter, that should be included as well, and you do have to state what your conflict is for record. Anything you would add?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair, can I say something?
Well, Jim's gonna quickly clarify something and then I'll turn it to you.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
sure that from what I heard from Anthony, it's my understanding of things. This is particularly with the licensing committee. If the resolution says we approve of the license, okay? If that's turned down, well, let's go back a step. If a resolution isn't approved normally, it just disappears. We're not saying anything on the subject. But if the resolution is to approve the liquor license or cannabis license and we vote no, actually the resolution is regenerated in the opposite sense. So that we are now saying so if you vote against the liquor license, that, you know, the resolution says we approve a liquor license and we vote against that, the resolution then automatically gets changed to a resolution against the granting of the liquor license. Now, consistent with that logic, if we turn down a resolution that opposes a liquor license, it would seem there has to be a symmetry, and that would mean we don't disapprove the liquor license, and that would mean that resolution would also turn to the opposite sense and become an approval. So it's very different for liquor licenses. Okay, for all other resolutions, if the resolution doesn't pass, our board is silent on the subject.
Thank you.
Is that clear?
I think it is.
Any
Yes.
questions?
It doesn't happen often, but yeah.
No, but it. Talk a little louder. Oh, give her the microphone, because people should be able to hear.
Hi everyone, I'm Ms. Severis. I just want to quickly clarify. So let's say on the noise bother complaints resolution that we are gonna vote on today. Let's say it's a no. Does that resolution automatically become an opposition?
No, it doesn't.
It
It
just
only
does. We
applies
stay
to
silent
the,
on it.
only applies to the licensing committee. But that doesn't mean that the committee that produced the resolution can't go back to work and come up with another resolution, of course.
Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Luana had a hand and then Wayne. Luana, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I just want to further expand what Liz was explaining with concerning conflicts of interest. It is not just payment, but also receiving in-kind services or goods. That is also a conflict of interest, particularly if we're voting on a resolution for a liquor license and that business donates to your nonprofit or any organization, that constitutes a conflict of interest. Also, being employed If a resolution is calling for a city agency to solve something, and you work for that city agency, then that is also a conflict of resolution. I just wanted to amplify that definition for the new members.
Thank you, Wayne.
Jim and Anthony, I think it's important to clarify for everyone that the reason why it's different for the liquor licenses is because the community board passed a resolution years ago to put this in place, because absent that, SLA is asking community board for an opinion. If the resolution that is drafted is not adopted, then we were saying nothing. So instead of saying nothing, we passed a resolution that it is on record where it becomes an automatic. That's why it applies to license. Is in place.
That's helpful context. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wayne, and that is in fact the situation.
Great. We are going to move on to roll call.
Once again, please give me your votes that are different from whatever the rest are, or just saying yes to all, no to all.
And Liz, I'm sorry, very quickly for folks online who are not exempt, when you cast your vote, please state the excuse for the reason you are online this evening.
Richard Olin.
Yes to all.
Richard Olin, yes to all. Jalil Hamador.
Yes.
Yes. Mary Anderson. Mary Anderson, yes to all. Lydia Barnes.
Yes to all. I'm stuck at work doing quarterly reports.
Thank you. Wayne Benjamin.
Yes to all.
Wayne Benjamin, yes to all. Jim Berlin.
No on 8, 9, and 12, yes to the rest.
Hold on a second. You said no on 8,
9, and 12.
9, 10, 12. Yes to the rest. Hector Bonilla.
No to D and yes to the rest.
No to D. Yes to the rest. Denise Caniff.
No to 7 and yes on the rest.
No to 7, yes to the rest. Fred DeBose.
No to 7, yes to the rest.
No to 7, yes to the rest. Stephen De Jesus.
Right, conflict of interest on B as in beta, D as in delta, E, F, and 15, since I'm employed with New York City Department of Transportation.
Hold on, I'm sorry, you said not voting on.
B.
B as in beta, D as in delta, E, F, and 15.
B as in boy, D as in David, E as in Edward, F as in Frank, and 15. And
Yes.
yes to the rest. Lester De La Cruz.
No on D, yes to the rest.
No on D, yes to the rest. Catherine Diaz.
Conflict of interest on number 1, because I work at OCN. No on B, and on number 13, and yes to the rest.
Conflict of interest on number 1, no on D as in David, no on 13. I'm sorry.
It's the conflict of interest.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
And yes to the rest.
No.
No Andy Harrison.
No.
Oh, this is like people. I got my number.
7, and yes to the rest.
No on D and 7, yes to the rest. Hector Eskimo.
No on D, yes to the rest.
No on D, yes to the rest. Edwin Fernandez.
No on D and yes to the rest.
No on D, yes to the rest. Luana Ferreira,
Yes to all.
yes to all. Sonia Figueroa Pagan,
It's Sonia Figueroa Rejo, no to D. No, I'm sorry. No to E as in Edward and yes to the rest.
and you said your last name is what?
Reillo, Reillo.
Oh, okay, well,
The office staff was made aware of the change of that last name.
gotcha. Excellent, thank you. So that's no to E and yes to the rest. Dario Frias, I'm sorry, Sonia, you said no to E or only E or also no to D?
No, it's no to E as in Edward and yes to the rest.
No to E, yes to the rest. But thanks.
We don't, we're in the middle of roll call. We'll come back to you.
Dario Frias, can you repeat your vote, please?
Yes to the rest.
No to D, yes to the rest. Tai Fujimura,
Yes to all.
yes to all. Daniel Hoytpan,
No to D, 7, yes to the rest.
no to D and 7, yes to the rest. Tanisha Grant,
No to D and 7, and yes to the rest.
no to D and 7, yes to the rest. Heidi Guzman,
Not voting on B, T, and D and 15, even conflict of interest, I will for the plantation education,
not voting on B as in boy, D as in David, E as in Edward, 15 due to working at DOT, and yes to the rest. Leo Jimenez, no on D, yes to the rest. O.C. Canada,
Yes to all.
yes to all. Connor Willis,
No on D and no on 7, and yes to the rest.
no on D and 7, yes to the rest. Alexis Marno,
No to D, no to 7, and yes to the rest.
no on D and 7, yes to the rest. Isidro Medina, no on D, yes to the rest. Claudia Mendoza,
Yes to the rest.
no on D, yes to the rest. Diogenes Montano,
E, 7, yes to the rest.
no on D and 7, yes to the rest. Indiana Porter,
I'm not putting in C, so I started nursing. I vote no for D or Tom. And yes to the rest.
not voting on C due to conflict, she works at the city council, no on D, yes to the rest. Elizabeth Morris Ritter. I'm not voting on 15. I have a conflict. They are a donor to an organization on whose board I sit. Yes to the rest. Arlene Rodriguez,
A conflict of interest for D, because I'm working on a local nonprofit that produces concerts.
Mhm.
Urban spaces, I abstain from number 7 and yes to the rest.
not voting due to conflict on D as in David, abstain on 7, yes to the rest. Gershon Rosenberg,
No on D, yes to the rest.
no on D, yes to the rest. Jamila Sandoval, no on D, yes to the rest. Steve Simon.
No on A, abstaining on 13. Yes for the record.
No on A, abstain on 13, yes to the rest. Melissa Sims.
I'm out of town for business duties and I vote yes to all.
Yes to all. Lizette Taveras. Abstaining on 7, yes to the rest. Nazareth Imani.
Hi, I've had childcare issues and worked late. I vote no to D and yes to all.
Yes to the rest.
The rest, yeah.
No on D, yes to the rest. Jaleel Amador.
No, the D, yes, the rest.
No on D, yes to the rest. Other than Anthony, is there anybody's name that I did not call?
This, I'm working with an old copy of the agenda, so I can find my vote.
Can you speak up, please? So I have you as no on 8, 9, and 12, and yes to the rest. What happened?
I am now no on 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and yes to the rest.
So you're no on 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, but you're not voting no on 12?
That's correct, that is yes.
I see.
Sorry, just quick point of clarification. 11 was withdrawn, so it's not for consideration at tonight's meeting. But we continued with the numbering sequence as was, so you just assume 12 remained.
7, 8, 9, and 10. And yes to the rest.
Okay, I see 2 hands. I'm assuming related to your vote. Okay,
Has everybody's vote been taken?
no, they want to amend their vote.
Yes, I want to amend my vote. I would say no to D.
Yes. No to D and 7. And we have you listed as Brad. You prefer Bradley? Okay. Has everybody voted?
Liz,
Yes.
this is Luana Ferreira. I'm online because I was traveling and couldn't make it on time to the meeting. Plus, I needed to vote, like the other vote today.
Yes. I have you as yes to all. Is that not correct?
Yes, it's yes to all, but I'm justifying for the public record why I'm appearing online today.
Thank you. Anthony,
I vote no on D and yes to the rest.
no on D, yes to the rest.
You eat your shit, don't lick.
Recorded everybody's vote? Yeah. Excellent.
Okay, do we have old business? Do we have new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? I see Noemi and second by Connor. Noemi Diaz, second by Connor. It is 9:49 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Yes, happy summer, everyone. Thank you all for your work. Oh my God.